15 minutes having been passed, and I'd like to invite up Mayor Steinberg here to give us some brief comments and request. Thank you very much for joining us. Perfect timing as always.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the board and members of the staff. Well, my timing could not have been better because I got the opportunity to see the warm reception and hear the eloquent words of your new superintendent. And I just want to add my congratulations to Jorge, to all of you for making such a great selection, and to say that, to repeat to all of you what I said to him, is that you all know you have a real partner and support in the city of Sacramento. And it's actually in that vein that I come here tonight for a few minutes, not with my hat in hand, but with an offer of partnership. As you know, when I was in the legislature, I made one of my priorities the growth of the career pathways movement. And we were able to get $1.4 billion over the course of several years to expand career pathways. In Sacramento County, including Sacramento City Unified, were the recipients of the so-called CAPT and CRANE grants. And what we've seen, I think, is a significant increase in the number and quality of career pathways, academies, various forms. And I know there's so much of that was already going on in the district, and that continues. What's lacking, not just in Sacramento, but really everywhere, is the opportunity to bring paid year-round workforce experience for teenagers to scale. And so when I ran for mayor of Sacramento, I said I have an audacious goal, that we ought to be able to offer at least 1,000 high school juniors going into their senior years year-round paid workforce experiences. And so I was fortunate enough to get elected, and we intend to do just that. In my first several months in office, we have been able to raise $2.5 million worth of largely public funding. Was able to get a grant in my third day in office from the State Employment Training Panel. Excuse me, my allergies are just acting up here. From the State Employment Training Panel for $925,000. Usually it's money for 18 to 24-year-olds. But I said we shouldn't just be about remediating struggle. We ought to be preventing it in the first place. And so they agreed to a waiver, kind of a big deal for the state, to allow us to spend that money on high school students. I then got $950,000 approved with my colleagues at the city council. And then various school districts around the city are contributing money as well. And then we recruited from Washington, D.C., Erica Kashiri, who's sitting in the front row, if you wouldn't mind coming up so I can introduce you. Erica played a lead role with the National U.S. Chamber of Commerce around workforce development. And I don't know whether it was, the snow in Washington, D.C., the weather, but I think the opportunity to come west and to help build what I don't view as a program, not a program, but a philosophy and a partnership that says that we are going to create genuine pathways, and we've got the beginning of pathways already in this district and in our city, but we're going to build them out so that every young person knows that if he or she does their part, they're going to have admission to the local college of their choice. They're going to have the right kinds of financial assistance. And before they graduate high school, they're going to have the opportunity to have a paid workforce experience that will not only be relevant to their interests and hopefully their academics, but will also give them the confidence that it often takes in order to know that you can actually do something and to see the relationship between those boring subjects that you're being required to learn and what you might actually do with your life. And so what are we doing here? We're actually building this project from scratch. With the $2.5 million, we're going to hire a number of community-based organizations to provide case management for all the students. We're not just going to send the students off into the work world without training and without the one-on-one kinds of supports. We're recruiting students. We've talked to a number of your high school principals as well as the principals in some of the other Sacramento districts. And we're recruiting employers. This week, Eric and I traveled back to Washington, D.C. to the Cal Chambers Cap to Cap annual trip. Jay Hansen was back there, your board chair. And we pitched about 50 employers, and we got signups for 150 slots, 150 commitments. And we're just beginning. And we're going to get to 1,000. And we're going to build this, and we're going to sustain it, and we're committing our own money every year. So I'm asking you if you would join me in helping to sponsor this program so that we can build something that will provide a lot of hope to a lot of young people. And I know that your budgets are tight. I know you have to deal with, the uncertainties of the upcoming state budget. I understand and respect it all. But I promise you again that I don't come to you as the city's mayor saying, hey, will you support a city program here? I come to you in partnership to say, let's build something great together. And so I had a conversation with I know I presented before Chairperson Wu's Budget and Fiscal Committee a couple of weeks ago. I know I asked for a significant amount of money, and I know it's significant, $400,000. And, if you can do that or come close to it, and more than that, work with us to build it, right? We have a lot of work to do to recruit students. Every elected official, appointed official, we ought to all be about recruiting employers ourselves, because it is going to be hard work to get to that number 1,000. And I know we can do something we'll all be very proud of. Erica, do you want to add anything? Or?
No, this is great. It's all about giving kids access. That's what we're here for. If internships are now the new entry level, how do we make sure that Sacramento's kids, Sacramento's youth have a leg up no matter where they end up going? So this is really important to me. It's something that made me travel all the way across the country to come join an effort to do in a city that I have never lived in, and for a mayor that was never really my elected official before. But he has such an audacious goal, and anyone who's willing to jump 2 feet forward and say, you know what, I'm not going to just go for 30 kids. I'm going straight for the big guns, 1,000. Sacramento isn't going to be just mediocre. We're going to be great. So with that, definitely join the team and excited to partner with you guys in this work.
Great. Thank you very much for both of you stopping by and joining us in the public comment. We will take that certainly under consideration when we're making our budgetary decisions here in the next several weeks, and I expect that we'll be getting back to you and asking for some more information, and we'll be looking for the recommendation from Mr. Wu's budget committee. And we really value the partnership that the city of Sacramento has provided us. And Erica, welcome to Sacramento. You've got a great city. You made a great choice. You've got a very good mayor to work for. So really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great night.
Great. We are going to keep going out of order and now call up Stacy Bell, move to item 11.4, and come on down. And I know there's some students that are still here that have been here for a while. Yeah, we'll go back to those later. Yeah. Afterwards, we'll keep moving along. All right, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent, Board President Hanson, members of the board. My name is Dr. Stacy Alt, and and I'm here not necessarily to celebrate, but to update you on the condition of expanded learning funding for this 2017-18 school year. At this time, I want to introduce our expanded learning coordinators, Manpreet Kaur and Marcus Struther. They're quite happy to let me lead this presentation, especially since it's so late and we're trying to go quickly. But in the event that we have programmatic or operational questions, they'll be available to answer those shortly. I'd also like to acknowledge all the youth development staff and expanded learning partners, parents, students who are here to support, as well as thank those who snuck their public comment in on earlier agenda items. As you know, expanded learning refers to before school, after school, and summer programming, basically any programming that occurs outside of the core school day. In Sac City Unified, it means so much more. During this presentation, I will give you a brief history of expanded learning in Sac City, discuss the state of our funding, and talk a little bit about the impact of expanded learning programs. Finally, we hope to end with some concrete next steps. In 1996, our now Mayor, Darrell Steinberg, helped establish the Sacramento START program, which provided free after-school programming for students in Sacramento. In 2002, California voters passed Prop 49, which funded the ACES program, shortly followed by the 21st Century program, which provides federal funds for after-school programming. I'm giving you this brief history so we can kind of have an understanding of and a context for expanded learning programs in the district. In 2012, we wrote 21st Century grants that allowed us to triple the number of expanded learning sites, and we absorbed almost 1/3 of the state allocated funds. Currently, we have programming at 62 school sites and serve almost 14,000 students annually. 21st Century is a competitive grant administered by the California Department of Ed. In November, we submitted an application for approximately $4 million to fund current programs as well as add additional school sites that were not being served. A couple of weeks ago, we were notified that of the 26 sites we applied for, we only received funding for one site, Leotata Floyd. The state scored grants differently than in the past, relying on a mechanical process that awarded priority points to each individual school site. The state did that in an attempt to provide equity and fund those sites around the state that were in the greatest need. Of the sites we applied for, Leotata Floyd has the highest free and reduced meal count and was therefore fully funded. The state this year had a record number of applications and were only able to fund 10% of those competitive grants that applied. Many other districts locally and around the state were also not funded. Therefore, in fiscal year 17-18, we are looking at a loss of $3.3 million worth of existing funding. Programming is no longer funded for 5 high schools, C.K. McClatchy, John F. Kennedy, American Legion, Harm Johnson, and Sac High, as well as 10 before-school programs. In addition, program funding at 21 elementary schools was also not approved. 20 of those sites have other funding, so will continue to operate at reduced capacity. One elementary program is not funded at all, and that's Caroline Wenzel. It only has 21st Century funding. I have provided the complete list to the board through previous communication, and I have it with me if we have questions about specific slots at specific sites. I want to share a little bit about our expanded learning students and staff. As you can see, the students' racial demographics are either equal or higher to the district percentages when it comes to serving students of color. We intentionally target students in need, especially and including students of color and low-income students. We serve a greater population of Black and Latinx students than the district's general population. 81% of our participants are eligible for free and reduced lunch. 23% are English language learners, and 13% are special education students. For our special needs students, we focus on full inclusion and try to accommodate one-on-one support or small groups as needed. Data also shows the staff serving in after school mirror the demographics and languages of the families we serve. Many staff members come from communities within which they are placed, and are students themselves, serving as near-peer mentors for students as they explore college and career. We have a high percentage of staff throughout the district who were also students in Sac City themselves and were part of after-school programs at some point in their educational journey. We follow a social justice youth development framework that is grounded in healing, and our diverse community and staff allow us to be transformational in this way. As you can imagine, expanded learning programs have a huge impact on students and families. Many parents rely on before and after school programs as safe places for their students to be while they are at work. Our before school programming begins at 7:30 a.m. for sites that have a late 9 a.m. start, and all of our after school programs stay open until 6. In addition to being safe, our students complete homework, receive academic support, enrichment, physical activity, and eat a healthy supper. Our nutrition services provides about 9,000 suppers to programs participants every single day. In Sac City Unified, expanded learning has a positive impact, especially on attendance and chronic absenteeism. Overall, students in after school have lower chronic absenteeism than students that are not in expanded learning. And across all programs, 7.9% of expanded learning participants are chronically absent compared to 10% district-wide. The impact on Black students and foster youth is even greater. We also see the same trends and impact on suspensions and provide learning opportunities critical for the development of social-emotional skills. At the high school level, many students rely on the supports they're receiving in expanded learning to help to graduate high school. Students in 7th period earn an average of approximately 10 additional credits towards graduation during the school year and 5 additional credits during the summer. Expanded learning allows students to take courses that are not offered during the daytime. And over the course of a high school career, a student could potentially be eligible for 60 additional credits in after school. Not only does expanded learning help to increase graduation rates and decrease dropouts, students are also gaining culturally relevant leadership opportunities. They're becoming agents of change within their schools and communities and having a positive impact on the culture and climate of the entire campus. This is equity and access and opportunity in action. As you know, we believe in serving the whole child, whole year. At the high school level, mentors often provide the type of support that helps students not only navigate school, but also navigate the career to college pipeline, as well as support them throughout their adult life. I'm not even at the school site and have the pleasure of mentoring and supporting youth way beyond the 4 walls of high school. We've talked about how expanded learning provides safe spaces for kids during the pivotal hours of 3 to 6 p.m., but it's also important to recognize the leveraging that happens in the expanded learning space. Through 21st Century Funds, we've been able to leverage other grants to run programs like Men's and Women's Leadership Academy, Sexually Exploited Children and Teens Collaborative, programs for unique student populations, including LGBTQ youth. We also support numerous city and statewide collaboratives designed to improve educational and life outcomes. We owe all of this work to our community partners and our main providers who provide programming at sites every single day, as well as during summer. We also contract with unique and culturally relevant community brokers who supplement the work of our main providers. We hire teachers at the school sites to ensure the continuity of care throughout the school day. And finally, our own team of culturally diverse youth development staff also mirror the community in regards to race, background, and experiences. 2 years ago, the CDE director, Michael Funk, addressed our staff and reminded us how California leads the world in its investment in and quality of expanded learning programs. We know from colleagues around the state and even our own superintendent who has commented on how he's never seen anything like the expanded learning work we do in Sacramento. So we decided, therefore, using sheer logic, if we're the best in California and California is the best in the world, what you're witnessing is the best programming in the world. For next steps, we are working to identify funds for the 2017-18 school year. We have been able to identify funds to move forward with summer programming, so we're not looking at cutting summer programs for this year. We plan to work with our Expanded Learning Advisory Committee to look at funding options and priorities and develop a strategy to do this that engages parents and students so that the needs of our community are placed first. We will, of course, continue to seek grant funds. We will be eligible to reapply for 21st Century funds in November. This year, we're hearing that the state may have a revision in their application process that will include a regional distribution, so we will be competing with schools in our region as opposed to schools across the entire state. Finally, we've appealed the CDE decision, and we will hear within 30 days. Although because of their mechanical way of scoring, we're not sure whether or not that appeal will be granted. And finally, we'll plan to come back and provide an update to the board in June. Finally, there's no way I can describe all of the unique and transformative programming happening out at our school sites. I know that you will hear public comment. I know folks snuck in public comment already, and I know a lot of people shared letters and emails with you all. But I also know that you've been visiting programs throughout the district and engaging with students and program staff. And I think that's the only way you can get a real picture of what's happening in the expanded learning program and see the real magnitude of the work.
Thank you so much. Do we have public comment?
We have 35 public comments. Start with
I
Cheyenne
think that we
Camargo.
will also do 1 minute each on these, please. We appreciate that because we probably will be here till about 1 o'clock in the morning already with 1 minute comments. So if we did two, that'd take us even earlier.
Cheyenne Camargo, followed by Jenna Lyon-Mullen and Charles Cooper.
Hello, board members. I'm Cheyenne Camargo. I'm a student at Hiram Johnson High School, and I just wanted you to hear my voice and let you guys know the impact it has on me. I just recently joined 7th period this year, and since I've been in 7th period, my attendance has gone up, my grades have gone up. I've only gotten 1 F this year, and it's like a whole nother family. I've gotten so many opportunities, like participating in HOSA and going out to recruit, and I'd really love to continue that, especially for my next year. And sorry, I'm nervous. I'd like my brother to also have the same opportunity, and I'd really love if you guys would help us fight this, because it's something that's really in my heart, and I believe that we can get this going for longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna Lynn Mullen. Jenna Lynn Mullen.
To announce the next couple folks too.
Charles Cooper. Crandall Ranking. Jackie Rose.
Come on down.
Good evening. I am so excited to be here. Tonight, history's been made, and we're part of it. I've been working in the district now for 3 years. I'm working with the Men's Leadership Academy, and to know that hope is in the air. And I know that you know that we have been effective, and so I'm going to let the kids speak. But I'm excited because you know what we need, and you cannot allow anything to throw this out. We are at a place now where change can really come, and it'll be here sooner than we think as you continue to invest in and really give to and towards what the after-school programs offer. As a result of it, just in the time that I've seen true change take place in so many. So I'm going to let the kids come and share.
And could you please introduce yourself just for the record? That's okay.
I'm Raymond White.
I'm Amadou Berry.
I'm Rondell Jordan.
And I'm Gio Lombardi. We are here on behalf of West Campus Men's Leadership Academy. And as many people know, sometimes students from colored or ethnic backgrounds don't always perform as well in the classroom. And we think the reason being is that these type of students don't always get the same support or guidance for to succeed in school. And what programs like MLA do is go into schools and help these students get back on track. And it's clearly shown at our school.
Now, I know you guys are worried about GPA in our students. And I will tell you that the students in the MLA program has created a drive for our students to get a higher GPA. And we are extremely close to the goal of an average GPA of a 3.5 within our group at West Campus High School, which is a gradual increase from when MLA was not at our school.
So right now, West Campus MLA is currently working on becoming a classroom, but right now we're a club, except we're running into some issues because the youth development organization is losing the funding. And this brings like problems because we can't prosper as like the right MLA program that we want to be. And it kind of takes away the opportunities and resources required for us as students to succeed and ultimately just stand out.
Not only is MLA providing opportunities for students for their futures, but it's providing a safe place away from home and a family environment in the school. And we hope you'll take our funding situation seriously because we believe programs like MLA will have a positive impact on the students of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And so I'm Crandall Rankins, the original teacher at John F. Kennedy High School that went from 5 days a week to now 2 days a week as a result of the funding cuts. But now we can see it come back because I know that this board will do what it takes to bring funding to us. We need you. We need you now. Thank you.
We need your name too.
Crandall Rankins.
All right. Thanks very much. All right. Thank you.
Jackie Rose.
Good evening, President Hansen, board members, student representative. It's so nice to be here tonight. I come here with a heavy heart tonight, simply because the 21st Century Grant, which I represent in a community that has had it for 15 years, is being cut. Phoenix Park is that community that has had a history of lots of different things in that community in this city. And we are at a point where we really need this funding. I really have to praise my parents who are still out there in the audience hanging in there with us, because I heard the new superintendent talk about parent empowerment. And I'm excited to hear about that parent empowerment piece, because if we can push that parent empowerment piece, that's really what's going to help our students. I come here to, we also gave you some letters that our kids actually wrote up there all the way to kindergarten to 8th grade. Please read those letters. Take into consideration how important this program is and the fact that our kids in this district absolutely need them, not just for my community in Phoenix Park, but all of the kids that have 21st Century Grants need this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shanine Cole, followed by Britt Irby and Kier Bell.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say good evening and thank you guys for allowing us this opportunity. I'm a single mom. I live in Phoenix Park. I go to school full-time to receive my RN. My kids are good kids. This one's a little wild, as you can probably tell, but he's a good kid. This one here gets straight A's in school. She wants to be a doctor. Cal Berkeley's where she wants to be. And I'm just asking you guys to please consider services and programs that have been here for so long. They're important. Maybe this is an eye-opener as a parent that we need to be involved and need to really, connect. But it's so important as a mom, as a single mother, to be able to go to work, and not have to worry about the safety of my children, not have to worry about their emotional support or who's there caring for them, or, if all their needs are being met. Miss Jackie and her staff, they provide that for my children and for other children. Not only that, the group that takes care of them, the other staff members, I'm sorry, you guys, but they do so good. And it's nothing like having a group that cares for you that have come from what you come from, or that are trying to do things that you want to do, that look like you. That's something that you can't find every day. And she's given that to us for so long, and it would just hurt to see something like that go away. I see high school kids out here. I've seen them catch the bus from numerous high schools in the area and come there and are dedicated to these children every day. And it hurts to see, because I really feel like as a city, we can come together and maybe have a feeder program where these kids can be our next teachers for our community. It's really possible. It really is. And I just want to thank you for your time. And my kids do have a moment too. They would like to say a few things. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Uriah. This program means something to me and our staff. This program, Ms. Jackie has owned it for 15 years, as you have heard, and it means a lot to us. It gives us time to do our homework and do what we need to do. So when we go home, we can watch TV, do whatever we want, and we don't have to go home, and then we don't have to wait till the last minute to do it.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right, Doctor.
Hi, my name is Amira, and I would like to talk about what the program has done for me, because before I joined the program, my reading level wasn't so high, and after the summer, it increased, and Miss Jackie and her staff, they have really helped me, and I feel they help a lot of people and kids my age, because their program and other programs focus on reading literacy, and a lot of kids, they struggle with reading literacy, and that's not something like that a lot of teachers, they focus on personally. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Britt Irby, followed by Kiar Bell.
Good evening, Superintendent Banda, Board Member Rosas, and the entire board. Really proud to be able to come to you as a parent. I have children at William Land Elementary and McClatchy High School, both which are impacted by the after-school program, summer programming, and specifically the loss of funding. So I first just want to speak to the offerings as a parent. So William Land has a before-school program. They're serving probably over and above about at least 60 kids every day. After-school programming and 2 different summer programs. I just left the most amazing SAC Theater production, which my child got a chance to be in tonight, and it's also happening tomorrow. So I encourage you to come to William Land and see those students. All of those programs funded through the grants here, right? My son's at McClatchy. He's participated in robotics, German club, tutoring after school, and 3 different sports. So we're talking about keeping doors open, and not just for my children, but all of our students. So when we think about, I'm just real quick, the high schools, 5 high schools, we can't shut the doors on them. And truly the investment needs to come through youth development because we have a nationally recognized model. We will pay for the investment with those students on one side or the other. So if we're talking about thousands of high schoolers and young people with the doors locked at 6 o'clock, we're going to pay for that investment. Or we can put that investment into those young people in the meaningful programs that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kiar Bell, followed by Keith Heron.
Good evening. We might have to end at 1:06 because my first time speaking, I want to make sure to support this amazing department. So I'll apologize in advance. Michael, leave me alone. All right, good evening. My name is Kia Bell. I'm the Youth Engagement Coordinator for the Sacramento Building Healthy Community, AKA the Hub. And I'm the Project Coordinator for the Fruit Ridge Stockton Black Child Legacy Campaign. I'm right out of the Fruit Ridge Community Collaborative, formerly Fruit Ridge Elementary School. Before my current role, I ran Girl Scout outreach programs for over 50 schools in this school district. And I'm very proud of that. I have been able to build relationships, and I respect the work from these service providers as well as these people that sit right next to me. I must first say I was apprehensive to speak, but this is bigger than me. 8 out of the 21 schools that are in the BAC area that I serve will be severely impacted. And I am here to express our very serious concerns, but let me share a bit of perspective. I am a proud South Central LA kid, grew up in a tough neighborhood where the only safe place to be was either at home with the door locked or at school. Both of my parents worked full-time. Even with 2 working parents, they could not afford childcare for my sister and I. It wasn't safe to come home and wait for mom and dad until they got home after 6, sometimes later due to LA traffic. We had no choice. I had to walk my little sister home at the age of 7. I had to walk past the dude slanging dope, selling dope, if you don't know what slanging means. I had to walk past the homeless man shooting up dope in front of the vacant store. I had to walk past the gang members hanging on the block, preparing myself mentally that I might have to defend my little sister and myself. It wasn't until the decision was made to move out of the hood and come to Sacramento. That was my first glimpse for my sister and myself at an after-school program that valued us, that took care of us, and gave us a safe place. It was not just childcare. It is valuable and beneficial, and that's why I'm doing the work I do now. 17 years working in this field. Today, I ask all you to ensure that every child, every family will not have to go without simply because they themselves cannot afford and are doing the best they can, and they just don't have the resource to supplement child care or these programs. Our families trust you to make the right choice, so I encourage you to do just that. Fund our expanded learning programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith Heron, followed by Mercedes Torres.
Good evening to the board members. My name is Keith Heron. I'm the Executive Director of the Target Excellence Program. I'm here to support the expanded learning programs, and we're asking you to continue their funding. As you know, the social determinants of health, the life expectancy in some of our neighborhoods are as much as 15 years lower than neighborhoods that are less than 1 mile away. This can be combated through our after-school programs, which provide social supports, safety, food securities, and also just basic services that are missing for our communities. We know that our communities are missing grocery stores. We know our communities are missing banks. We know our communities are missing transportation. And everybody ignores these problems like they don't exist. I'm asking you not to ignore this problem like it does not exist. What I'm asking is specifically to the tune of $4.6 million. $4.6 million. Not only the 3.4 that we're losing, but the 4.6 to get us back to the cost of living indicators. We do not believe in ourselves until someone reveals that something deep inside of us is valuable, worth listening to, worthy of our trust, and sacred to our touch. I'm asking you to value our programs with your actions and not just words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mercedes Torres, followed by Christopher Torres.
Hi, my name is Mercedes Torres, and I wrote a spoken word piece. I'm speaking on the behalf of Phoenix Park, a place we call home, a place children go to get help with their homework because the school may not provide it, nor can the parents help because this newfound Common Core curriculum. Because, you know, maybe not, because you say it's working. I mean, right? Of course we'll believe, because we live in quote-unquote ghetto, because we're low-income families, because you think we won't speak up. But guess what? We're done being silent. We will not stand here and let you take something that means so much to us, something that's benefited the whole community. Did you know people from all over the Sacramento region and even more widespread are coming to join our program? Are you really willing to take all this away? Do you know what happens when you take candy from small children? They fight back. So get ready. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher Torres, followed by Enoch Young.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Enoch Young. I'm the Executive Director of New Hope Community Development Corporation. We're one of the service providers for the expanded learning programs at William Land Elementary School in Sol Laureus, but also a proud parent of 2 kids at William Land Elementary School. I'm a bean counter for my day job, and I really wanted to underscore the problem is not just a $3 million problem. I think the problem is minimum wage is increasing over time, and the existing state funding is currently not sufficient to maintain the level of service as it was originally conceived back in the 90s. And so the problem that we have is one of being able to find a sustainable funding source, which currently is diminishing at the federal level with our president, who's trying to axe 21st century from his budget, but also at the state level. So we are really asking for the district at a local level to be committed to identifying a sustainable funding source to continue these services. Thanks.
Thank you, Enoch.
Kathy Yang, followed by Michael Herrera.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Yang, and I am the Associate Director with the Sacramento Chinese Community Service Center. And I hope you know by now we don't only service the Chinese community. We are heavily impacted by the loss of the 21st century funds. And first off, I want to thank you to those who have already invested their time in visiting our school sites and our programs. And for those who haven't visited the school sites yet, I extend that open invitation to you. Imagine what our youth are going to do if these programs are not available to them during the crucial hours of 3 to 6 p.m. and what kind of impact you can have on this. Thank you.
Michael Herrera, followed by Gio Van Bean. Followed by Michelle Nunez.
Hello. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this short. So, my name is Michelle Nunes. I'm a senior at John F. Kennedy High School, and I will be attending UCLA in the fall. I'm a member of the Student Advisory Council, and a student board member, Natalie, has asked me to address the importance of saving the expanded learning programs. I had the pleasure of meeting our new superintendent earlier today, and he was able to see the amount of talent and potential that the Student Advisory Council brings together. And I hope that next year the Student Advisory Council and the expanded learning programs as a whole are not things that are overlooked in terms of being allocated funds, because it's a part of the district that not only provides services like free breakfast to children in the morning who don't have that opportunity at home, but it also funds things like before school classes like speech and debate, or programs like the Men's Leadership Academy and the Student Advisory Council, which serve as hubs for student leadership growth. And I hope that you all are able to find a solution to this issue that doesn't disappoint. Thank you.
Thank you.
Geraldine Castañeda, followed by Anthony Demidenko.
Hello, everyone. My name is Geraldine Castañeda. I am a senior at CK McClatchy High School right now, and I will be attending Pomona College in the fall. And I just want to just make it very, very clear that I am at this place in my life, and I've gotten to where I am right now because of the programs that are being threatened. Today, I get free breakfast every morning. I go to the library after school. I've tutored there. I've helped students get tutored there. I was in ACES in middle school. I was in Assets. In high school, I participated in summer of service programs during the summer when my friends were off in Europe or Hawaii. And in all these programs, I've met such genuinely caring people, not just staff, not just the faculty, but the students there. And it's so nice to find a group and a community of people that look like you and that understand you, that understand your background and what you're going through, and are there to be resourceful and empathetic and helpful in what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And I completely understand that there, inevitably will be cuts, and there will have to be prioritization of funds and reorganization of funds, but I urge you on behalf of all the students that are being affected from these programs, over 1,000 students every day, and from the staff and the faculty, to Please recognize that these programs are absolutely vital to so many of the students in this district, and just keep that in mind when you are reorganizing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anthony Demidenko, followed by Emily Belko.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Demidenko, and I'm a student at Sacramento State University. After hearing that before and after school programs are probably going to get cut, I need to share my opinion. As a high school student, I relied on these programs in order to help me develop both my social and educational life. I benefited so much from the programs through athletics like soccer and tutoring in order to get some of the extra help when I needed. First, on athletics, it would be disastrous to deprive these students from competing in sport activities where I learned many life skills which otherwise would be difficult to obtain in a classroom setting. For example, I was able to develop teamwork, communication, leadership, and perseverance that I can apply in these skills in other parts of my life. Also, because of athletics, some of my best friends were able to acquire scholarships to colleges and other universities, or otherwise they would financially not be able to afford it. And athletics helped me shape my character where PE classes would never come close. It also pushed me to maintain a higher GPA, do well but better in class, and maintain a better physical and mental health. Another aspect I'd like to discuss is how students who are behind classes won't be able to catch up because of these programs being cut. So I just want to think about how you were able to benefit when you were a child and how we are benefiting right now, how these future generations are going to be able to get what they have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily Belko.
Good evening, y'all. My name's Emily Belko. I'm the Assets Program Manager at Hiram Johnson. And I just want to preface, I want to say thank you to the teachers from Johnson, the staff from Johnson, and my coworkers at the Sacramento Chinese Community Service Center for being here. Since this meeting or our agenda item is so late, I thought I would just share a letter that one of our students wrote to you all since he couldn't be here tonight. So he is the captain of our Royal Tribe dance team and potentially joining us next year given our funding allocations as a team leader. So I'm a senior I am a senior in Hiram Johnson. Not too long ago, I was told there would be no funds for our assets program next year. I was quite shocked because why? Seventh period in general has helped some of my best friends be able to graduate on time with me. Why are our assets programs being canceled? Many kids I know enjoy their after-school activities and classes to catch up on credits or to learn something new, and at least appreciate the fact that we love our assets program at Hiram Johnson. Some of us may come from low-income families, but many of us want to learn more. After school, we aren't here to do drugs and join gangs in our free time, but to learn things, to learn our hearts out. Many kids enjoy many things. Me, I enjoy dance. Dance has helped me mentally and physically. Same goes for other classes I have been in. If you plan on closing our assets program, then you're also setting us up for failure. Please don't leave us and set us up for failure. Seventh period assets, ooh, that's a bad sentence. We can't help them with everything. We wish that you'll consider continuing at the assets program, for which I, insert student's name, will feel forever in debt of your kindness and generosity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Maria Jose Solares Luna, followed by Alexa Ibarra.
Good evening, board members. My name is Maria Jose Solares Luna, known as Ms. MJ, at our assets program. I am the program manager at McClatchy High School, and I make sure that every day we serve our students and provide services that are tailored to their needs. Right now, we're offering many classes and many opportunities for students to participate and gain experience in things that they would not be able to get outside of school. And tonight, I just want to be short, and I want to say that tonight we hold on to something very powerful, and that is hope. Hope that you will hear our voices tonight, and hope that you will help us continue to offer these opportunities and services to our students and our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexa Ibarra, followed by Ryan Carroll.
I'm like this super brief. My name is Alexi Barr. I'm the program manager at Pacific Elementary. And I just kind of want to give you the size of my school. Pacific is one of the biggest schools in Sac City. It has 700 plus students. I currently serve over my average daily attendance. I serve 165 students. With these budget cuts, next year I'll only be able to serve 85 students. And that's including my 60 students I serve during the morning. This only not affects my students, but it affects my parents. I even start my before school program early so that my parents could get to work and provide for their families. We have created such a great programming in our schools, and they go to middle school and go to ACES, and then from ACES they go to high school and go to Assets. And I personally, I have a group of students that have been hold a very special place in my heart and are about to be freshmen. Students, I know them since 4th grade, and they're super excited to be part of McClatchy Assets, and to know that they won't have anything next year worries me, because what will they do? They'll be on the streets, their parents work, they'll be getting into trouble. It's just, what will they do? They'll get bored, they're going to be out. I don't even want to imagine. We don't live in the safest parts of town. We have to be very realistic, and if no one's at home, our students are going to be out causing trouble or getting in trouble. So it's just something to consider. And I just want to thank you for your time and just to really think about our little babies. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask speakers, when you hear your name called, if you could please stand behind the podium so that we can move quicker. Ryan Carroll, followed by Chandler Cooper and Brian Stroth. If you could all please come up to the podium. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Carroll, and I work for the Sacramento Chinese Community Service Center as a coordinator at Nicholas Elementary, just around the corner. I've been in after-school programming for 10 years now, and I've been able to see the difference before 21st century and after 21st century funding. Nicholas Elementary is one of the bigger after-school sites. Similar to what Ms. Ibarra just said, I run 175 students on a daily basis. Again, we'll be cutting down to 85. Not to mention the before school program as well, which will be another 45 to 50 students who aren't able to have that safe and supportive environment when parents need to drop off their students for work. One thing that wasn't mentioned is this 21st century grant has also allowed us to provide family literacy for families throughout the school year for 10-week sessions, which is kind of, I have a little bit of sauce on my shirt right now because we are partnering with another organization to come in to provide family communication and SEL skills for families and students to come together to work and communicate, to dialogue. And one thing that will be removed from that would be that grant, and we've used this grant for the past 5 years to build families both physically, and now we're working on the social skills. And the one last thing I want to say is to comment on Dr. Alt. If we are the best of the best in the world, I think we need to take it one step further and prove it by having the district choose to fund and dig deeper in their pockets to provide the funding that is missing, to no longer rely on federal or state grants, and say that we are taking this seriously and we are going to be the leader in expanded learning one way or another. Thank you.
Chandler Cooper. Brian Stroh and Lorena Garay, if you could please come to the front as well.
Good evening. My name is Chandler Cooper. I'm also representing the Assets Program. Earlier we had Dr. Stacy present us with some vital statistics, lots of information, and I know we love our numbers. Tonight I would like to give voice to one of those numbers. Last year in Assets, a student that I will refer to as Dee Dee was one of our students in Assets after school. Previous to our program, her option was to take the 81 bus to her neighborhood, where she sat outside of a Walgreens for 2 hours waiting on her mother to get off of work. Through Assets, we enrolled her in a women's leadership program where she was able to find her voice, explore new opportunities, and discover some higher education opportunities that suited her, a student of color, a student of poverty, and a student of special needs. It was through expanded learning that we were able to take Dee Dee and create a leader instead of a statistic. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorena Garay. Omar Hashigan and Jacqueline Martinez, please come to the front.
Good evening. My name is Lorena Garay. I'm a current student at Sacramento State University and a 2016 graduate of C.K. McClatchy High School. I've received great benefits from after-school programs my entire life. In elementary school, my parents weren't able to pick me up right after school, so I joined the START program where I was able to play, get homework help, and a snack while I waited for my parents. It provided a great service to both my parents and I and others in similar situations. Once I was in high school, I took a 7th period class that gave students the opportunity to hang out, play, teach, and advise students at Bret Hart Elementary. In addition, I took a 180 degrees life skills class through Assets my junior year that helped me learn more about higher education. As a first-generation college student, this class gave me greater insight about college and what it has to offer. All throughout high school, I participated in Summer of Service, a summer program where kids predominantly of color get together for 6 weeks to work on a community service learning project. From these programs, I created lifelong connections that I would feel comfortable contacting today. In addition, after-school programs have shown to improve academic performance, class behavior, school attendance, encourage physical activity and good dietary habits, all while reducing drug use and criminal behavior. It also provides a safe place for students to stay while parents are working. For these reasons and many others, expanded learning needs to be funded in the school district. Thank you.
Omar, followed by Jacqueline.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Martinez. I'm an alumni from Hiram Johnson High School and a former team leader at Hiram Johnson. And I just wanted to tell you guys how Assets had helped me when I was in high school. It helped me get through all my applications for college, to fill out all my scholarships, to pay off for college, and I have advanced so much thanks to the help of Assets. And now I'm able to do the same thing for the students that I'm working with. Recently, one of my students was able to get accepted to Sac State, and now we're taking a step further and helping her with her applications for scholarships. And I hope that we could continue to have this program onto next year so we could help out many more students just like her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Omar. Followed by Ken Critterman and Kimberly Key.
Good evening, board members. My name is Omar Hashimi, and I'm a graduating senior at Sacramento State. I urge you to keep the students in your minds and prioritize your students in your decisions. And I hope that, in good conscience, that your minds are set in the right path. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kimberly Key, followed by Azucena Barrera.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Key, and I'm the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Sacramento. We have been serving students in your district for over 20 years now. So we're certainly an extension of the school day and absolutely the families that we serve. My concern with the reduction here is the direct impact that it will have on the club is with students that we serve at Ethel I. Baker. We've been serving those students for several years, and we're currently serving almost double the amount of students that we're actually contracted for. This year, we worked diligently to provide safe transportation to get all of those children to the club, and we're happy to work hard to help fill that gap. But this reduction is going to create a gap much bigger than I can fill alone. So I need the help of the school district to make it happen. I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to kids after school if they do not have a safe place to go. And as youth development professionals and community leaders, it is our absolute responsibility to make this work for our kids and give them every opportunity to be successful and provide hope for them. So thank you.
Thank you. Azucena Barrera, followed by Damian Harmony and Jackie Crittenden.
Hi, my name is Azucena Barrera. I approached the board tonight as a concerned youth development professional, but most of all as a concerned parent of 2 Sacramento City Unified School District students. Just to keep it brief, please, I'm pleading with the board, with Sacramento City Unified School District, to find the funds, to give our children the opportunity to reach their full potential, to have the opportunity like any other child with more economic opportunities. And after school, we give children those opportunities, those experiences, so they can become and believe that they can become whatever they want to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Damian Harmony, followed by Jackie Crittenden and Linda Lee Smith.
Good evening, good night, good late night. I came down here last time to remind you what a school district is supposed to do. Thank you for taking over an hour singing the new praises of our new superintendent and speaking of your concern for the children at the expense of the children who were waiting in the bistro since about 8:30. It's now 11:30 and very few of them are here because they have to go to school tomorrow. I know because I'll be teaching them. The fact that you lost the 21st Century Grant is threatening this very crucial program, the Assets program at my school, John F. Kennedy. I'm getting kind of tired of coming down here to remind you why we're here, which is the kids. Assets at John F. Kennedy has kept a lot of kids safe and helped many find direction. There are a number of teachers who work even harder than I do with the children in order to take care of our kids. It's clearly not for the pay, and pretty soon it's just not going to be. I've seen a number of students who've had nowhere else to go. Now they feel like they belong. I tutor across the hall from a few of these programs, and I see them going into the middle schools and helping those middle schools better prepare themselves for transition to high school. This is vital. I see one girl with special needs every day feeling like she's a part of our community now, gaining confidence and competence to reach out to her peers. The result is student achievement and student engagement. If only there was some sort of giant reserve of cash that you had that could help maybe maintain such a program while you find a better way to find those monies, since the federal government is going to let that evaporate. Given all the money that you have, why let this program go away when it's supposed to help ensure a thing that you're here to do? Thank you very much.
Jackie Crittenden, followed by Linda Lee Smith.
Good evening, board. My name is Jackie Crittenden. I am a mom of 4 children, and I am also an employee working in the Assets program. I would like to speak on behalf of the Assets program and the value that it's provided for all of our students. This is not just at Kennedy High School, but all across the board here in Sacramento. We've talked about losing the money and the support for all of our schools, but I want to also point out the fact that we talk about our support and our ability to provide our students and our children a future of mentorship like all of us have provided. Now it's time for us to not just talk about it. I would like to see that we can partner up and come together as a whole community and provide these opportunities and continue this program, because this is an investment into our students who are going to be our future board members, our future doctors. Give our students the hope and know that they can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Lee Smith, followed by Daryl Roberts and Jocelyn Stewart.
Good evening. Thank you for moving this item up. I would really be fearful where we would be talking about kids at 1:30 in the morning, but I guess that's how it works. First of all, I want to thank the youth development staff, Lisa Allen. What's your name again? Look, first of all, it's after 11 o'clock at night, and I do apologize. I want to thank the youth development staff, though, for being here. There's one aspect of losing funding for 21st century that we haven't talked about. And just for the record, Leah Tata Floor at the site where we're at actually is being funded with 21st century. So I'm here because I really feel like it needs, community leaders need to be here whether they're being funded or not. We are being funded, but what will happen with cutback in 21st century funding is that you will be losing role models. That's who we don't talk about, the kids we talk about, but the people being employed in the 21st century funded school sites are also role models that the kids look up to. And for many of the kids, it's one of the reasons that they come back to school the next day. I want to remind you of that as we talk about the cutbacks for both the kids as well. Marcus, thank you very much, man. Preet, thank you very much. Dr. Stacy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Jocelyn Stewart. Jocelyn Stewart here? Okay, go ahead.
Morning, or good morning, yeah, almost. Good evening, board members. For the record, I'm Ryan Peterson. I am, like I said when I met you guys last board meeting, I'm involved in a lot of things. I got involved in a lot of things very quickly. I teach one of the assets classes at Hiram Johnson. My main program at Hiram Johnson has about 120 students in it. I have 42 students on my roster for the assets program. Quick math means about a third of my students stay after school an extra hour, most of them because they don't have any other place to go. So quite frequently, I stay well beyond the 4 o'clock, 4:15 time when that ends. I most often have to send kids home at 5:30. You guys have to go home because I want to. They don't have safe places to go. I know that you guys didn't cut the budget for the 21st century, but what I'm asking is your support in helping us find a way to keep it going. Because this is really important to these kids, and it's really important to people like Emily Belko, who is an amazing program manager. She's set up a multicultural night that's way outside of her scope. She's made an arrangement with the Sacramento Family Food Bank where they come and distribute free food to our families who are in need. We're at a very needy site. She's working on a weekly pantry distribution at our school next year, assuming that we can continue this program into next year. So thank you for hearing me. Have a great morning.
Thank you.
Nathan Houston, followed by Mandy.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Houston, and I work for Center for Fathers and Families. And my program won't be affected, but I think that ELP, Expanded Learning Programs, we are a family, and so I just wanted to come up and support and ask that the board would find the resources to make sure that we continue the funding. I received the Emerging Leadership Award from the After School Division from California Department of Education, and I sat with Tom Torlaxon, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, who said it is imperative and important that we invest in our young people, and so I'm asking that the Sacramento City Board do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mandy?
Hi, my name is Mandy Irvin, and I work with Pro Youth and Families. And much of what we do is supported by after-school programs, but really what we do only touches the surface of what after-school programs do. I feel like everybody's done a really good job of talking about how it affects our students and the families, but really I think that after-school programming is necessary for our communities as a whole to be successful, and that includes the school community. And so I think something I haven't heard is how this will affect teachers. So a lot of students are getting help after school, getting caught up academically, socially, emotionally, all of that. We're at a time where teachers have so much pressure against them, and they're spread very thin already. And if you take away after-school programming, it's going to put more pressure on teachers and administrators to try to get these students caught up. And it's just going to be really difficult. And so really, I think, like everybody has said, we need after-school programming not only for our students and the families, but really for the community as a whole to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, first I'll entertain a motion to move our adjournment till 12:30 tonight. All in favor? Very well, thank you. Now we're on board comments. Ms. Vang.
So first, I just want to thank all the students that came out to speak today and all the community-based organization. And I also want to give a shout out to Stacy and her staff for the incredible work that you're doing for the district and for the community. You know, when I was a high school student 14 years ago, I was also involved with after-school programs. When Hmong Women Heritage Circle was around, they were funded by the school district to hold Hmong Women Circle, and I was a youth. I was a product of that, and had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you today, even on this dais. And so when you guys are sharing your story, I want you to know that I hear you, I feel you, and I feel the urgency. I do, Stacy, have some questions, and just to put it on the record, could you tell us, in terms of the youth development budget, like how much of that is grant funded, or like if you can share that piece?
Yeah, we, so I'm, of course, I don't have the entire budget in my head, especially right now, but
Yeah.
we're less than 1% of our funds come, or 99% of our fund is grant funded. If our department is grant funded, especially on the expanded learning side. We do get LCAP dollars, so youth development includes expanded learning and foster youth. So we do get district dollars for the foster youth services program. We were actually in a very similar situation when the state cut foster youth services program, and the district and the board were able to continue those services through local control funding. But apart from that, most of the funding is grant funded.
Okay. And then second question I had, I know you said in your presentation that, you know, after the decision of the 21st century, at least for this year, you said that there's no summer programs being cut. And so my question is, I know that you said you were able to find other funding, and I'm curious in terms of where that funding came from, and because I know that, like, if you found that funding somewhere, it's going to impact the department in other ways. And so I'm a little worried about that as well. And so I wanted to just, if you can elaborate a little bit more about that piece.
Yes, we did have, so ACES funding continued, as did 21st Century at some other sites. So we do have ACES supplemental dollars that help support summer. The biggest concern for this year was high school summer, especially at those particular school sites that are not going to receive 21st Century next year. And so the district used one-time funds to ensure that we did not have to pull any high school programming from students that had already applied and were already participating. So for summer 2017, programming will continue. We'll definitely tighten the budget. But at least we have a smaller number of slots being offered to elementary school programs, but we are continuing with summer programming for this year.
So I know, I'm sure other board members have other comments as well, so I don't want to take the mic too long. Michael's looking at me like, hurry up, Mai. But I think for me, I just want to put this on public record, is that the fact that 99% of our funding for the youth department is grant funded that is not sustainable. And I think as a district and as a board, we need to find more innovative solution on how we're going to fund that. I know, Trustee Darrell Wu and Jay Hansen, we sit on the budget committee, and I have made an ask for that to be on the next agenda item for the budget committee, which is happening next Wednesday, May 10th from 4 to 6. And so that is on the agenda. And so I'm hoping to have a further discussion with the committee on, next steps and finding solutions on where we can find that fund. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Minnick.
Well, Member Vang stole some of my thunder, but that's okay. As I listen, first I want to thank everyone for coming out and being so eloquent about their experience, both the students and the staff, and how it's affected everybody. And I know that this was not a decision that we made. We did not choose to cut this program. This is about this grant not being allocated to us. That said, in going along with what Member Vang was saying, we cannot continue to rely on grant funding for things as essential as this, when we know that they have effects on things like attendance rates and grades and graduation rates and the support that it provides for students along the entire process. We rely on these grants that come and go, and we've been lucky in the last few cycles that we've had these grants, but they're not always going to be there. And I think that as a way of showing that this is truly a priority for us, I think it's just really important that we look at how do we incorporate this into our structure of the education system that we provide, and that means having it be part of our budget, as we look through it. And I don't know entirely what that means. And this is my first time through the budget cycle, so I'm thankful that the budget committee is already planning to be looking at this and how we can incorporate this, so that even if it's not 100% of these programs, if 70% or 50% of these programs are just funded through our general operating expenses, that means when we take a hit like this, we can downsize a little bit and maybe change hours and maybe change some staffing, but we don't have to entirely cut programs and leave kids out there hanging. So I think if we really want this to be a priority and we really want to have these opportunities for our kids to get the support they need, it just needs to be part of what we do. And then we figure out how to deal with the ebbs and flows of the portions of them that are grant funded. So I really appreciate hearing all this tonight, and I'm hoping that we can figure something out.
Member Rosas?
Extended learning programs hit extremely close to home. Like many, I would not be where I am today if it were not for the tremendous opportunities that they have given me through my entire life. In elementary school, I remember I didn't see my parents a lot because they worked long hours, and living in a neighborhood where gunshots and drug use was the norm. It was after-school programs that provided a safe place for me to stay. And during middle school, when I moved around to 3 different cities and 3 different middle schools, it was again after-school programs that provided stability for me and provided stress relief when things were so unstable in my life. And till this day, I have after school and before school programs to thank for the person I am today. They have contributed to my activism, to my love for my community and how involved I am. If it were not for them, I would definitely not be the person that I am today. And to hear that this is all at risk is extremely concerning, because I know that if it were not for that, I would be nowhere near to the person I am. Not only that, but it's the mentors and the people that care for those students that make them see the possibilities in their life. It was people that look like me and people that understood the circumstances that I have come from, that helped me see the possibilities that I had in my future, and that helped me guide me through my, not only academically but emotionally, when I didn't have that support elsewhere. So it's very worrisome that all of the funding that goes to those programs is through grants. I think it's important that's not how it works. It doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right, and I think that I agree, and I think that money from us should be allocated to things like that, because that's where you catch the students that slip through the cracks. It's through those people that care
and those after-school programs that those students are able to see their potential and able to move past everything despite the barriers that they face. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Pritchett.
Thank you. So we have the printout of how many kids will be displaced with this, and it's extremely concerning. It is our duty to make sure that when the bell rings, those kids are still our responsibility. And it is our duty to make sure that they are safe until they get home. And there's no way possible that we can assure that they are safe if they are going home to empty homes because they have a single mother or they have dual parents that are working very late hours. It's very, very concerning. I know that your group has probably just brainstormed this and just kind of tore it apart and trying to think of everything that we could possibly do to save these programs. But what I would like to ask is that maybe with the budget committee, if they could maybe explore an idea of with the understanding that some families are just not going to be able to afford any fees, but explore an opportunity or explore ideas of maybe doing rolling fees based on income, and maybe that could supplement part of the program, and then the district can supplement the other part and come together. So they can discuss that on next week when they meet, and I'm assuming you'll be there, correct? Okay. And that might be something you've already done. I know you want to say something.
Yeah. So there is new legislation that allows us to explore fees as long as we don't charge families that can't afford it. For most of our programs, that we're running at around 81% of free and reduced meal programs, which means that the other 19% of families could at least afford to pay something towards expanded learning. So that's definitely something that we can look into. The legislation is new, so we would have to figure out what that looks like, but we have been provided by Legal Services board policy or sample board policy from CSBA that can help kind of guide us as we look into that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And that's something,
yes,
at least. So if we can maybe just explore that opportunity, and then it's time for us to get creative and keep kids safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Cochran.
This trustee supports this program because I've actually lived, worked, and taught in after-school programs. I did the ACES program in Elk Grove. And what many people don't realize is that staff members can take these and be creative with them and create programs that actually support kids who are in their classes during the regular day. I taught EL, and what I did is I created an after-school program and a before-school program that took my kids that were beginners and gave them an extra 2 hours a day of language instruction through these support programs. So it touches so many lives. It touches kids that need a place to be just to be safe, but it also is incredibly important for academics, and it helps people get a leg up and go forward. I support this program. I will do everything I can to make sure that we carve money out of our budget to keep it. Thank you.
Member Ryan.
I want to begin by thanking all the students and student advocates who stayed so late to share your concerns and hopes for the programs moving forward. Obviously, these are not value-added propositions, right? These are key to ensuring that our students are successfully staying in school and progressing towards reaching their goals. I did a little bit of math, and what it ends up being when we're looking at if we were to fund with the adjustments that were requested $4 million a year, it ends up being, when we're serving 2,263 students, about $1,767 per student. And you have to ask, well, what's that return on investment? Are we willing to spend $1,767 per student to ensure that students are more likely to show up to school every day, less likely to experience trauma as a result of not having a place, a safe space after school, less likely to become victimized, less likely to drop out, more likely to pursue their dreams of post-secondary education. And frankly, I would argue that if we were to do a data analysis of some of our other programs, what we would find is that for this modest investment, we're actually seeing greater gains than in many of the other boutique programs that we have out there. So I would ask, consistent with what my board member Vang and board member Minnick said, that keeping that in mind, we do an analysis, and as we determine our budget this year and beyond, figure out, based on that return on investment, which is kids who deserve an opportunity to be successful in life, having the dollars flow where we know they serve the students the most.
Member Wu.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you all heard that Maya announced that the next budget meeting is next Wednesday. Please share with us what ideas you have. This sometimes is a zero-sum game, so if we're not printing money, then it's going to have to come from someplace else. And we'll try to explore as many, all the ideas that are shared with us, because I can't come up with, I don't think I have all the answers, but I'm certainly willing to look at all possibilities, and including starting to make prioritize where we're going to be spending our money. Because, as I said, there's a zero-sum game. We fund something, then we have to lose something else, because we are trying to replace lost one-time or grant money. Thank you.
I've got a question. So the funding, can you explain why we lost the funding?
Yeah, so the CDE did they scored grants in 2 levels. So the first level was the grant narrative, which usually is weighted very heavily. Usually there's a grant rubric. We spend a lot of time, we have a lot of experts, many of whom are in this room, writing great grants. And so this year, that was a pass or fail. So if your grant narrative was acceptable, then you moved on to the next level. And then CDE had a list of priorities that you were eligible for. You got priorities for things like free and reduced meal programs, providing, if you were increasing your grants to capacity, you got priority points. If you had a joint application with a partner, you had priority points. And I think I'd provided all of I think there were 7 areas in which a district could get priority points. We got 4 or 5 priority points based on our application, and it was a mechanical decision. And then after they decided the priority points, the state started at the top and funded free and reduced meal programs until they ran out of money. And so for us in our priority point area, they ran out of money at 95% free and reduced meal programs. And so the Atata Floyd was the one school that has 98% free and reduced lunch, 97 or 98 this year, and so, or 15, 16. And so they were funded, but the other schools were not. After having conversations with CDE, we've learned that next year they will be changing the way that they do, or they're talking about having a more equitable way to distribute the funds. So we would not be competing with large schools with high need in Los Angeles, for example, and would be competing with schools in our surrounding areas. And so when we get more information about that, of course, we will continue to apply. We can also submit joint applications with providers, which we did not do this year. So next year, we can submit joint applications with our providers. It means we would be locked into providers for 5 years, but that would also get us another priority point. So I think we're just being creative as to how we can write the effective grant. I think of concern is in the future. This year, 21st Century was included in the federal budget, but there are talks about eliminating it completely in the future. And so we're hopeful that we'll have an opportunity to apply next November, but we're not sure whether or not those funds would be available in the future either.
Mhm. So our application passed the narrative,
Correct.
and then it was just based on the remainder
It's
of
the,
the points.
yeah, it's very, and they explained it as a mechanical process. When we applied for and had a huge increase in funds in 2012, it's because we wrote an amazing grant application. But what happened as well during that time was many other schools lost programming, including schools in surrounding districts. So I think the state is trying to be equitable in how they distribute the money and not have it be related to kind of how effective the program is or how well you write a grant, but have it really be going to the students with the greatest need, of which, you know, we just weren't that for this go around.
So our other neighboring districts are suffering a similar fate with.
Some are. Some got, Elk Grove, for example, got additional priority point for not having a grant at maximum capacity and being able to increase their grant amount. So some of the sites that lost funding in 2012 have recuperated funding in Elk Grove for this year. For us, it was sort of a reverse.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is clear, obviously, that the programs are doing good work, and I'm familiar with a lot of them that I've visited over the years. And the potential that maybe this is a one-time situation if the state's going to change the scoring rubric, and so we have a more fair, equitable chance to receive money, would make sense for us to spend some of the one-time funds that we have in our reserves. But, you know, I concur too with, Member Wu. If we take from one place, we're taking from someplace else. So it is a zero-sum game, regrettably. And but that's why we need to hear from all of you who spoke today. So thank you very much for doing that. It does, gives us helps us set our priorities, because it's all of our money. It's not any one of ours. And there's tough choices that have to be made, and it impacts other parts of the budget. So I'm glad to hear. It sounds like my fellow board members are very enthusiastic about this, and they'll have to keep their enthusiasm when we cut something else. Just be aware of that. So, but this was very compelling, all the folks that came and spoke. So really appreciate that, and I suppose we'll be having more of this conversation next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna just do communications last. So let's go to 11.2. Welcome, Mr. Kramer.
Hello. I was actually hoping to get bumped so I could have the pleasure of saying good morning.
Absolutely. No.
Almost.
We could give you that pleasure if you'd like to come back and another half hour or so, but
all right, let's get this thing going.
All right.
All right, good evening, Board President Hansen. As always, esteemed board members, and I am Jack Kramer, Director of Innovative Schools and Charter Oversight. Tonight I will be facilitating the statutorily correct board action for charter renewal of Sacramento New Technology High School. With me, I have lead petitioner, Kenneth Durham. He is also the principal of the school as well. And to my right, outside legal counsel from Lozano Smith, Ed Scalar. Tonight's presentation, we have gone through many petition renewals, so I will leave it up to you to do a quick perusal of the contents. It is the same as we have had in the past. The overview for Sacramento New Technology High School, this was presented at the public hearing. So once again, give a moment to peruse. The charter review team, 15 of the district's finest, we have been together for many, many renewals. They have remained intact. So moving on to Ed Code 47607, the minimum criteria for charter renewal. The first three, they are API based, and number 4 criteria, that is a comparison model, of which Sacramento New Technology, they have met the first 3. For Ed Code 47605 and 47607, the governing board must have written factual findings of at least one of the 6 listed criteria. And these are the same criteria that have been presented to a certain degree ad nauseum for many of our renewals. And it is the staff's analysis for this particular charter renewal that the charter school has not demonstrated that they can successfully implement the program set forth in the renewal petition, due, number 1, to the lower academic performance of the charter school's pupils as compared to pupils in district schools that they would have otherwise attended. And number 2, for reasons of fiscal insolvency. By statute, the governing board, they may approve or deny the charter renewal for Sacramento New Technology High School. The next steps that we have in front of us tonight is the governing board shall approve Resolution 2947 to approve the renewal charter petition. That is one of the options, or approve Resolution 2930 along with adopting the final written findings of fact as its own to deny the renewal charter petition. So we have at hand an option of 2 resolutions, one to approve and the other to deny. With that, we have lead petitioner Kenneth, and he will have a presentation as well.
Mr. President, before
Yes.
before Kenneth speaks, may I address the board?
Please.
Thank you. So I want to thank my colleagues for postponing this item from the prior board meeting. When last this item was before you, staff's recommendation was to deny the charter renewal of New Tech High School. I want to personally thank Jack and his staff and the team for that thorough review, as it was a much-needed reality check. I believe that in reviewing staff's analysis, the shortcomings leading to denial were rooted in one central theme, and that was that New Tech was no longer a viable option for families today. Granted, there's a strong cadre among its faculty to teach what they're teaching, and many of them are here today. But frankly, the school's offerings were no longer the cutting-edge stuff that draws students to small learning environments such as New Tech. Charter schools, by their enabling legislation, were supposed to be incubators of innovation. And quite frankly, Sac City Unified had incorporated those innovations into its comprehensive high schools, and now all of our schools have viable, high-interest programs for students and families that have led to a more competitive environment for student enrollment, which, by the way, is a great thing. And as our students and families should have a variety of choice. However, as a result of the re-enrollment at New Tech has dramatically decreased, as have academics, which statistically can go hand in hand. Thus, we're challenged to think outside the box to provide a more engaging curriculum, as well as a more robust program that makes New Tech a viable option for our families and students. Over the intervening weeks, Principal Kenneth Durham and Area Assistant Superintendent and I have met and done research, begun to think about bringing back that edginess, that pedagogical freshness to New Tech. Let me be clear that we still desire for Sacramento New Tech to be part of the New Tech network framework. So I'd ask that Ken share with you his plan for the future, and after listening to him and all the public comment and after all your questions have been answered, I'd ask that you will join me in granting renewal of their charter to New Tech High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Board President Hanson, members of the board, and Superintendent Banda. I want to begin with thank yous. Really want to start by thanking our community, our parents, our students, alumni, parents of alumni, and people from local business that I didn't even know had a connection to the school. I've kind of felt like a quasi board member recently in all of the meetings and conversations I've had. So you can keep that job. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank the review team led by Jack Kramer, because as was shared by Board Member Wu just a second ago, the sense of urgency and the reality that they uncovered. When I stood before the board on the 16th, I told you that we knew we had some work ahead of us, and the team certainly uncovered it, and we think we have a plan moving forward. Lastly, I'd like to thank district leadership. Every step of the way, throughout the conversations I've had with community members, a central theme that kept getting was that, if only the district would do more. And I want to stand here tonight and say that in my 2 years at Sacramento New Tech, district leadership and every department in the district has been very accommodating. We haven't always gotten what we wanted, but we've always had the opportunity to say what we thought we needed and find solutions that would work. I understand there's going to be some questions, and I'm happy to answer those after I present the plan that Board Member Wu just shared. So again, as was shared on the 16th, we said that, or I said, this is something that if I do by myself, I'm going to fail at. So taking that theme forward, the idea that we've come up with is the creation of a design team. Similar to what SES went through in 2011. We are a little bit ahead of where they were at because this past fall, students, parents, and teachers went through the visioning process. So we're not starting entirely from scratch. Members of the design team will be comprised of students, teachers, parents, community partners, which include local civic partners and educational partners. We've already begun to reach out to some of them, and Area Superintendent Mua and myself are going to have to whittle that list down because there's a lot of people that want to be a part of the process. Also, we'd like to invite board members to serve as observers and advisors to the process. Within the next week, as we create those timelines and whatnot, we make sure to get those on your calendar so that you can be a part of as many as you desire. The purpose of the design team is to redesign our school within the New Tech Network model to enhance our academic program, to increase student academic achievement, and then also to be innovative around the ideas of branding, marketing, and enrollment. As was alluded to earlier, charters were created to be incubators of innovation. One of the conversations I had with Jack Kramer, which was central to our fiscal insolvency, had to do with a change in practice on our ability to recruit middle schools. And that conversation was very enlightening because when I was pushed to realize that it is not the responsibility of the district to open the doors to those kids for us. As a charter, it's our responsibility to find a way to connect with those families. And so we're hoping that through the design process, the team and community input will help us find a way to do that. Lastly, we're hoping that the design team will help us become a destination school for students, and taking my cue from incoming Superintendent Aguilera earlier tonight when he was talking about changing the cycle for families and for kids. That's really what we're looking for the design team to help us do. How do we change cycles for kids in our district and help them be as successful as possible? With that, I'm prepared to answer questions or give the floor back to Jack.
We will see the public comment first.
We have 9 public comments. Howard Mahona, Robin Femel B., and Torres Merrick. If you can line up in order, please, so that we can move quickly.
Good evening, President Hansen, members of the board, Superintendent Blanda. My name is Howard Mahoney. I'm the founding principal of the New Tech School in Sacramento. And I first want to start by issuing an apology for the board for my last visit and to the district itself. After I spoke, Kenneth, who I'd never met before, and the area soup, and I talked for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And I found that the district has changed quite a bit. There is a lot more support for New Tech. There's a lot more support. I truly don't get 10 minutes, do I? Okay. But it seems like he feels he's supported as the administrator of the school, and that the concern for the school is there and the effort is there. I very quickly after that had a nice email from Member Wu, said, we understand your concerns, we understand the issues, and we're looking at what we can do. Just at the meeting, to hear that the decision had been postponed for approximately a month showed that there is an attempt to see what can be done to preserve the New Tech Charter. And thinking about what I could share about that, I just want to remind you, when the school opened, it was an incredibly significant opening. It was, for many reasons, it was the first 4-year New Tech. It was the first one in an urban district. It was the first one with a substantially minority population and a Title I population. It was also the first one that had EL students. And very quickly they discovered that the model, project-based learning, transformed and assisted EL students with moving to proficiency much faster than we expected. It became really, in some ways, the most significant school in the network. And the reason I point that out is not to brag about the school those years so long ago, but to point out that the only school more significant in the network, the Napa original New Tech school, soon fell into a state similar to where we're at with this New Tech. By 2008, it had kind of lost its connection to the network. It had under-enrolled. It was not pedagogically as sound as it had been in the past, and it was struggling. Now it's in much better shape. And I bring that up to let you know that this can happen with a school, with any school model. And I'm sorry, I'm lost. I don't know how much time I got to talk longer. And it's late, so I'm going to finish up. So I'd encourage you to consider what's happened in Napa with the Napa New Tech, which is in much better shape than it was 5 or 6 years ago, and look at the efforts of the school and the efforts of New Tech Network, which is very sincerely concerned and interested because of the place of Sacramento New Technology in that network, and consider what might be done to renew the charter and to put the school back to the place that it was once before.
Thank you.
With that, good luck.
Robin Femel B., followed by Torres Merrick and Ginger Hilton.
I'll keep the timer up here. I'll just do 2
Hi.
minutes on my phone.
Good morning. My name is Robin Femmelby, and my son graduated from New Tech in 2016. This school, the students, the teachers, the community played a vital role, if not life-saving, for my son. He attempted to go to traditional high school, and he ended up on home hospital. We found this school, and immediately he felt at home. We really needed a solution to our situation. He learns differently than some people, and this school, with the project-based learning that they have, provided him an opportunity to work with the students, to negotiate, to self-govern, to go through the projects. The teachers were energized and provided opportunity that was unique from any other school. And one thing I wasn't going to mention, but over the few years that he was there, he had a different principal almost every year. Yep, you were the fourth. And so when you have so much change in leadership, while you have core teachers who are dedicated to the program and to the mission. When you have the leadership changing all the time and you don't, it's very hard to be successful. So I know my son's story is not unique. There are many children who learn differently and who need different opportunities. And I think if this school is to be closed, there would be a gap in the different learning that's available to students. So I encourage you to renew their charter and to allow the school to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ginger Hilton. Thank you for having us tonight. I'll make this fast, but I have to say Sac New Tech was not our first choice. My daughter goes to McClatchy, and so we just thought my son would go there as well. Well, long story short, he ended up at New Tech. And 2 weeks into the school year, after he was very bummed after missing 3 weeks of summer vacation that he was expecting to still have, because Sac New Tech starts earlier than McClatchy. 2 weeks in, we get a phone call from McClatchy saying, okay, we have room for your son. And so my son comes home from school. Guess what? You can get into McClatchy. He says, no. What do you mean no? He goes, I don't want to go. I like where I'm at. Within 2 weeks, he knew nobody there. I knew nobody there. Completely new adventure for us. And it has become home to him. He likes going to school, which, trust me, middle school he did not. So he even rides his bike. He rides his bike 5 miles a day to go to school every day. And before that, I talked him into taking the bus. You know, he wanted to go to school, and he still does, and he's learning and doing a great job. The teachers with the project-based learning and everything, he's growing and expanding. And as a 14-year-old boy, he's doing great. Now, sometimes he may have a bad grade. That's on him because, you know, he's a 14-year-old boy. But we look forward to having 3 more years at Sac New Tech and then continuing on for other students beyond that, because this has become a great school. It is a great school and great teachers, great learning and everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda Nguyen, followed by Angela Garvey and Candace Lawson.
I timed it. It's 1 minute and 10 seconds. So my name is Amanda Nguyen. I am a Sacramento New Technology High School alumni. I graduated in 2010. I am also currently completing my single subject credential at Sacramento State University, and am student teaching at the very same high school that I attended. I began my educational journey in public Waldorf school. There, my love of learning was formed, but it was at New Tech where that love was fostered. Our school has experienced setbacks and challenges. But just as we ask for our students to view these challenges as a learning opportunity to grow as a result, we do the same. At New Tech, we innovate, whether it is evaluating students based on their growth or reframing our senior defensive learning as an answer to the question, what is your story? At New Tech, we collaborate. It is our way of life. Projects bridge between disciplines and develop students' skills across the content areas. It is my firm belief that New Tech is not done growing, and given the opportunity, it will continue to do so. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Angela Garvey, followed by Candace Lawson.
Good morning. Thank you so much. My name is Angela Garvey, and my son is a top student at New Tech. And he was really upset earlier this semester when he told me about his new project in his animation class, creating a public service announcement about texting and driving. He said, Mom, I don't know about my team. They aren't the greatest students. I'm worried we won't get it done or do a good job. I'm worried I'll have to do all the work myself. I tried to reassure him that it would be okay. A couple days later, he came home elated. Mom, turns out Johnny is a kick-ass artist, and Bobby, he is great with music and audio engineering, which I can't stand doing. It's going to be okay. As the project progressed, he got more committed and enthusiastic. He said, I came up with the overall design and we worked together. I kept us all focused. Johnny and I both did the coding. Bobby created the soundtrack from scratch. When he finished it, I documented everything and I presented it. It turns out that their PSA was awarded the honorable mention in the local access PSA contest. This is the epitome of New Tech's project-based learning. Random teams of diverse students working on real-life problems together, just like real life. This is why my son is at New Tech, and we travel all the way from East Elk Grove and are in a 4-way carpool. While he is learning academics, as importantly, he is learning to understand his strengths and weaknesses, as well as those around him, and how to maximize the strength of their diversity and apply it to their assignments. Not every student is as strong academically, but these students have other strengths to offer, and we are embracing them and celebrating those strengths. Unfortunately, these particular strengths aren't measured on standardized tests. I am so proud not only of my son, but of what New Tech accomplishes with its project-based learning methodology, and with your support, New Tech can be even better. I quickly want to contrast this experience with my older son, who is a senior and full IB diploma candidate at Laguna Creek High School. In his 4 years, he has been tracked with kids just like him. Very little academic diversity there. He has hours and hours of homework every day. The stress the kids in the IB program face is incredible. I look back on all the time and events with family and friends he has missed because he has had to annotate yet another novel, another book of poetry. I see how tired he is after spending more than 40 hours on homework during spring break. Does he have that stellar GPA and high test scores? Of course, but the price has been steep. He has bad insomnia, and he has lost more than 30 pounds in the last year and a half. And he is not the only IB student in this condition. How well would he work with kids who are different than him? I don't know. He may not experience this until he is in the workforce. If we had to do it all over again, I think I'd rather have him go to New Tech. Thank you.
All right, guys, hang in there. You're on the home stretch. My name is Candace Lawson. I'm a medical doctor who's been working in and around the Sacramento community for the past 20 years. I'm here on behalf of my son, who is a sophomore at Sacramento New Technology High School with a 4.0 grade point average. Yes, you can recognize that achievement. We make that trek in the carpool with Angela, and we do that because we value what's being offered at Sacramento New Technology High School. Small classroom learning environment where my son is respected and his input is valued, project-based learning. But let's get to some important things. Let me remind you that we have, when it comes to technology, there's a sense that there is a shortage of jobs in this country. That's not true. There is a shortage of skilled labor that we're currently having to import from places like China and India. And while it's wonderful to have that diversity come here, it would also be wonderful to celebrate the diversity that we have at Sacramento New Technology High School, where about 40% of that population is Latino. The same as our state. We can do better. When you look at places like Google, when less than 10% of their working staff is African American or Latino, they need a pipeline. They need Sacramento New Technology High School. And yes, are there problems there? My message to you tonight is simple about Sacramento New Technology High School. Let's fix it, don't nix it. Let's fix it, don't nix it. The scores, we can work on that. Test taking is a skill that can be developed. And maybe that necessarily has not been emphasized at New Tech because they're emphasizing other types of skills. But they can learn. Those students can learn to take a test. Fix it. Don't nix it. People first and then money. Yes, there has been, there's some financial loss that needs to be respected. I understand that. But like healthcare, education should be a right, not a privilege. And those students at Sacramento New Technology are worth every penny that has been lost on their behalf. Let's fix it. Don't nix it. If it's an issue about the enrollment that would help improve the financial bottom line, let's do that. My message for you is very simple tonight. Fix it. Don't nix it. Thanks so much.
Laura Kerr.
Good evening, Laura Kerr with the Charter Schools Association, here in support of the New Tech renewal. We engaged with the New Tech site leadership. Our Achievement and Performance Management team engaged with them earlier in the year to look at their results and see if we could find a different data story. And our team really found a very thoughtful group of educators who weren't satisfied and wanted to do something different. So we fully support a design team approach here, and want to commend Kenneth and the team and also the district leadership for being pragmatic and trying to find a solution moving forward. Thanks.
No more comments.
No more public comments. Do we have questions or comments from the board? Oh. Okay, it looks like we do have one more public comment.
Renee Webster Hopkins.
Good evening. I'm here as a prospective parent, hopeful of New Tech High School. You know a little bit about the story of Jeremy, who's at he's a sixth grader at a private school that's designed to fully get him ready to enter the high school of his choice by eighth grade. And we have long looked at New Tech for the reasons that you've heard here tonight: the project-based learning design, the focus on science and technology would be a perfect fit for him. I'm also here as the co-founder of an organization named Dyslexia Connection, and we work for systems change in education and employment settings. And I had a wonderful discussion with the principal, Mr. Durham, this week, and just suggested to him ideas about in looking at how to introduce strategic improvements into the school, to look at improving academic outcomes, the literacy skills, the mathematics skills on the academic side, that many of the things that we've shared with this community about dyslexia interventions could be a perfect fit given the student population that's naturally attracted to his school, many of whom do have attention or learning struggles or are English language learners and the like. And I was just really encouraged by his vision and his commitment to truly make New Tech, remake it into the incubator that it can be with the passion of this community. I think it can be a destination school for students, and including, to the extent that it was a high school that actually addressed interventions and accommodations for kids with learning disabilities, for youth like Ben, who you met earlier tonight. It would become a destination school for students, not just in the district, but from out of district. The school where my son goes now, parents drive 40, 50 miles one way every day to get their kids to a learning environment that empowers them and that teaches them and makes them feel worthy. And New Tech could become that place as well with just a few strategic improvements. So I urge you to support the design team approach and renew the charter. It's a gem in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more public comments.
Member Cochran.
I'd like to thank the teachers, admin, and the parents who came out tonight, and I understand your passion and your support of the school. I believe that it would be irresponsible to give a yes vote because of the low enrollment of this school and the struggling nature and the inability in at least the past year to turn this around. I can't vote in support of maintaining this charter, particularly after spending probably about an hour and a half listening to the possible obliteration of after-school programs. Money is tight, and if we are going to be careful with our money and have fiduciary responsibility, a yes vote on this charter renewal is not responsible. I hope that if the charter does not pass it, you do find schools that meet your needs. And again, this is not done without empathy and compassion for your plight. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Wu.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, again, last time we were here, we were talking, the request before us is either to approve or deny charter for 5 years. And if I remember correctly, last time we were before us, it was also discussed that even if we granted the charter, it could be revoked at any time.
It can.
And the reason why we would think to revoke it if we granted it was because we weren't making significant progress towards a plan for the design team.
Correct.
So, can you share with us what you might have in mind? Number one, about how would you increase enrollment? What the timeline for a design team might look like, so that if we were to vote for approval, we can have some sense as to when you would be back before us to show us that you were making significant progress?
Yes. So the plan is within the next week, with the cooperation of district staff, to identify the design team. So reaching out to the community has already begun. I actually had 3 meetings in the last 2 days with community members from the mayor's office and the like, that are very interested in being a part of this process, not just to redesign the team, or the school, but to offer educational opportunities that are a natural fit to what we already do within the New Tech Network model. Timeline, we discussed, Sue and I, at most, the design team work would be done in the next 6 months. So at the longest, we would be back with a full report 6 months from today. We're hoping to finish that work much sooner. One of the things that we've already begun doing is reaching out to local firms that the district's already used in the area of recruitment and marketing, to see what that plan would look like. And so they've helped us come up with ideas for what it looks like to get a target enrollment by August 8th of this year that covers our costs for this year. So to close that deficit that's currently in our budget for this year, and then how to expand that with targeted, targeted outreach to Sacramento, but also Elk Grove, West Sacramento, and Natomas.
Ryan?
Just a couple quick comments.
Yes.
I think that the parents' passion for preserving the program and ensuring that there is a space that meets the needs of their students is very compelling. That being said, I would challenge the parents who feel so passionately that this program is a gem in the school district to help get out there and really drive enrollment. I also would say for the principal and others, and our board member, I had a chance to talk with one of our former local legislators and teachers who helped put in place the PACE program at Kennedy. And he basically said he had to pound the pavement talking with parents and students, almost like he was on the campaign trail, to grow the program so that it could sustain from one year to the next, really to get it off the ground. And now, of course, it's a very highly sought after program. So, in looking at how we support this moving forward, I, as you know, have been to the school site. I'm very impressed with the teachers there. I think it's an incredibly welcoming environment for students who might not often find a home in another school. And that, to me, is a compelling reason to do everything we can to redesign in such a way that makes the school attractive to more families. But it has to be a village that gets out there and helps spread the word. You turned out the last few weeks to say, keep this school open. Well, you also need to turn out in your community to talk about why you spent the time and energy to fight for this school to remain alive.
Any other questions or comments? Richard?
I think personally, I would be more comfortable with the conditional renewal of maybe coming back in a year for a review or and approving the charter from here on out. I'd like to know what my fellow colleagues feel as well. Member Wu.
Well, when we talked about this last time, I was led to believe that we could not condition this charter. But having said that, if after a year, let's say, after we granted a 5-year charter, let's say that after a year we're unsatisfied with the progress that they're making, they would realize that we could revoke the charter at any time. So to me, that's it is not an actual conditional charter renewal, but it can act as a conditional charter renewal because we're having that discussion now and they're forewarned.
Jack, isn't it typical that we do a charter renewal for 4 years? Or is it 5?
For our initial charters, there is latitude in the number of years up to 5. But for charter renewals, they are 5 years and exactly 5 years.
And is Member Wu correct that we can't do a conditional review?
He is correct. Certainly, there can be requests for status reports along the way to keep in touch and monitor their progress.
So I'm all about giving second chances and having you guys really show yourselves, right? But I feel uncomfortable doing a 4-year or 5-year. I think it would be more appropriate to maybe think of a 2 or 3-year renewal while your design team is revamping the school and then bring it back for a 4 or 5 year after that.
So with all due respect,
right.
It's
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's illegal. Illegal.
It's early yet. Which is why I framed it that way. Well, if there's
we're not done yet.
Not yet done yet.
Member Cochran?
Can I clarify a point?
Sure.
So Jack is correct. It's a 5 or it's a not. But the school is very comfortable in coming back at whatever period the board seems to desire to do a status update. And as Member Wu said, if we're not making adequate progress, at that point the board could make a motion to revoke.
Member Cochran?
Thank you. So you were here about a month ago, and to Member Ryan's point, I don't see a mobilization of the community, and I don't see an increase of enrollment numbers from a month ago to now. And I have a question for Mr. Kramer. How much does it cost to keep New Tech open?
From our initial calculations regarding the petition, the review came in at, are you talking about on an annual basis, or what is their current debt and anticipated debt?
Annual basis.
Well, technically it would be their one-stop budget. So if, what are you at, 2 million? Okay.
It's about 2 million.
So it would be
It's
2
about 2
million.
million, yeah.
You're asking us to keep a declining enrollment specialized high school open that costs $2 million when the mayor's asking us for $400,000, and when after-school programs are begging for their lives and they need $4 million. And I just cannot see being responsible and voting yes on this. Thank you.
Member Minnick?
Thanks. Excuse me. Just a couple quick things. One, I appreciate you showing me around and getting a chance to check out the school, even though I didn't really understand most of the things the kids were talking about. But I did appreciate the school, and I am, a fan of these different options for kids. And I'm also, there are some concerns regarding the, test scores and stuff, and I tend to put less concern on that than maybe some folks, just because I know that kids learn in different ways and not everything aligns with tests. I did have some pretty serious concerns about the financial situation, and I appreciate Member Cochran's thoughts. I also want to think about, just on a quick side note, that we have this policy that prevents schools from doing recruitment at middle schools, and I think at some point in the future I'd like to address that, because I don't think that's really fair to our smaller schools, and I'd like to bring that up at maybe a later time. But the one thing I do want to say in relation to the idea of this design team, what was probably 5 or 6 years ago now, I sat on the design team for Kit Carson. It was slated for closure. There was, a few hundred kids, and it was a, gorgeous campus, but there wasn't really a lot of support for it to move forward. And it, for all intents and purposes, like, it was on its way to being closed down. I see it now after we went through that process and really brainstormed, what was going to meet the needs of the community. And now it's this kind of amazing place that's building and thriving. And so I've seen this process work. And so I appreciate Principal Durham and Member Wu, putting this forward. I think that, for me at this point, I do have, concerns, and I worry about our financial situation. But I also have seen what this can be. And so for me, I would support the idea of moving forward and allowing those next, few months, years to develop into, what we really need for that community. And I've heard enough from parents. I've been contacted by a lot of parents that love this school. So that's kind of where I stand at this point.
Great. All right. Lots of people still go. Christina.
I just want to ask that if we pass this tonight, that we ask that yearly that you come back and do a presentation to us to show us where you've grown through this process.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Member Cochran, your light's still on. Christina.
Thank you. Superintendent Allen, can you talk about the design team process? And I understand it's not particularly an easy thing to do. I know I requested one for Hiram Johnson, and I didn't get one. So is it something that we can just instantly have happen for the school?
Yes, it is. It is a process, and it was good to hear that it shouldn't be something that lasts 2 to 3 years. It is a 4 to 5 month process that you pull in the different stakeholders. You have a certain amount of stakeholders. You don't want it to get too broad, but you do your research, you talk. Sometimes you go on field trips. It just depends on what it is you're after. And then it is a process, and you take it back to the team. You have different resources that will come in to the team, to the task, to the design team, to speak to the team regarding if it's an HR issue. You have HR come in. You can have the academic department. We'll have the schools department in. Everyone working together. You definitely want student voice on your team, very critical. And yes, it is a process, but 6 months is a good range to come up with something that's fantastic. And I've been involved in the design team process with SES, and I was there, and it was a very similar situation here in some aspects. Declining enrollment, and SES is now flourishing. So it is a process, especially if you get your community involved and get partners involved, it can be very just a great experience for all involved, but will build enrollment if done well.
Thank you very much for your answer. President Hansen, I concur with Member Pritchett that if this school is going to have a chance, that it be strictly supervised and not be allowed to go on and on for 5 years. So I don't know how that would be framed. But if this design team is going to be allowed, I think if the energy is there, that, it should be given a chance to do it. Just so you understand my vote, I am still going to vote no because I believe it's fiscally irresponsible. But if I am outvoted, I certainly hope that Member Pritchett's suggestion is followed, because if it's not, then it's a disaster.
Member Wu?
I believe that Resolution 2947 is the resolution for approval. And if that's the case, I am going to move Resolution 2947. And I want Kenneth back here explaining to this board in 6 months the level of progress that not only the design team has come up with, but what you're doing to move the school forward. At that time, we may take up we may continue our analysis on New Tech, or we may say that's good enough, or we can say maybe come back in another 6 months, as we want to make sure that it is making progress towards advancing toward progress. So on that condition, which won't go into, I don't know if we can put that into the resolution, but I'm going to move approval of Resolution 2947.
Let me ask a couple of questions, and then we can take that up. So let me ask Gerardo, what's the subsidy right now to New Tech? So I understand the overall cost, approximately $2 million, but obviously there's students there that are generating ADA. So what are we paying above and beyond the generation of the ADA amount?
It's about $480,000.
Okay, so about 480.
It was 172,000 last year, additional 480 this year.
Mm-hmm. And what's the enrollment now?
The enrollment our CVEDs was 187.
Yeah.
And what's a break-even enrollment?
A break-even enrollment's 200.
Yeah, it's for this school is because they have a lot of flexibility as a charter school, about between 200 and 210. That's how we'll do that. It depends on the time out.
I mean, to me, and I've got 2 small learning schools in my area, and for instance, for Health Professions High School, I assumed that the draw was health professions. That's not the case. The draw is the small learning community, and that's what half of the students there go there for, and why their parents are there. And I think that's probably what I heard from folks, and what I've talked to other people. It's not New Tech. The tech stuff isn't the secret sauce anymore. Might have been back in the day. It probably is important for some folks, but every school has tech now.
I would absolutely agree with you, and if I could add,
let me finish my thoughts, and I'd be happy to hear something back, or whatever your appropriate comments. But the small learning communities, obviously, I think what is a big draw for people, and it provides a lot of extra support for students, and can be great for students who thrive with that. I think that's why the Met's really successful, and the other schools that folks talked about, why those are successful. So what would be the academic program you could pair with that you also can, focus on the draw of the small learning community should be a draw. But then I think too, if you think of a good academic program, and I know one thing we've discussed is a career tech program that might incorporate tech, but it also might incorporate civics and align with what we're doing. You know, we're in the state capital. We don't really have any schools that are focused on civics. I think that would be something that would be tremendously interesting. There's a couple 100,000 people in this town working in civics jobs. I think there's a career path there. That should be something that we should explore, and it's something that's really important for us to have people that are civically minded and understand what public service can be. So I'm willing to support this. Basically understanding it's 480,000. Once again, we're spending lots of money tonight, making lots of commitments. We'll see, if we're really going to stand behind those, because rubber's going to hit the road in another month or so. But I too, I appreciate Member Wu coming back with a strict timeline, and I guess we just ask superintendent and staff just to make sure that's written down, and we'll put it on the agenda that this is coming back. And I feel very much in alignment with Member Cochran. It's maybe we would lose some students, but maybe those students would just go to other schools, and we don't, we generate that money into someplace else, and we hopefully have schools that are enticing to the families that are there. But we all know we're going into a declining funding situation is dead ahead in front of us, and it's going to have to be a really compelling program and growth to get there. I think you can do it. I think the parents that are around you can do it. So if we give you the chance to do it, we'll be watching. And then, we'll be supporting too. I don't think there's, we want you to succeed. There's no doubt about that. So I don't want to have too much, impending, overlook, but we want to support you be successful, but we want you to be successful too. So with that, let me go back to Mr. Wu, and you can finish your motion.
Oh, I did finish my motion, and it was seconded, but I wanted to comment on your civics comment, and we did talk about that, and we talked about, and I had Kenneth visit Cesar Chavez, because Cesar Chavez, the Latino Film Institute is looking to expand their program here in Sacramento, and there's some film equipment already at NewTek. And so, but we didn't mention it this evening because we wanted to honor the process. And so we don't want to come in predisposing or predetermining what it will look like in the end. We want the design team to figure it out, but we'll throw those ideas, civics, film, other ideas, to the design team so that they can consider it, because it's their process to redesign for NewTek. So I just wanted to let you know that it hasn't gone, the prior discussion hadn't gone away, is we're wanting to respond and honor the design team process.
Very well. We have a motion and a second.
I'll call the question.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to move our adjournment to 1:30 a.m. All in favor? Very good. We are on item 11.3. Thank you very much for everyone who came.
Like, who do we talk to about turning off the air conditioner?
Daniel?
It's crazy.
You're welcome, sir. All right, very good. welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Board President Hanson, board members, and Superintendent Bonda. My name is Elliot Lopez. I'm the Chief Information Officer, and I'm joined here tonight by Kathy Morrison, our LCAP SIPSA coordinator, Sarah Petrowski, our student outcomes coordinator, and Tony Tinker, who is a member of our LCAP Parent Advisory Committee. Tonight we're here to announce the availability of the first draft of the 2017 to 2020 LCAP. We will discuss the process employed to develop this draft. We will provide a high-level overview of the contents of the draft plan, and we will share the process leading to finalization and approval of the draft in late June.
Good night, Board President Hanson, board members, Superintendent Bonda. My name is Sarah Petrowski, Student Outcomes Coordinator. Tonight's release of the first draft is the beginning of an iterative process. Based on board and stakeholder input, we have incorporated 2 distinct feedback cycles for developing the final LCAP this year. We do not expect to obtain feedback on the plan this evening, but we'll be collecting comments from our community over the next 4 weeks. Education code requires that the district consult with all of our stakeholders. This list represents a selection of the engagement that we have conducted leading up to the development of the draft. We consulted with a broad range of groups and individuals throughout the school year. We also gathered input relevant to the LCAP at meetings and events where key district issues were being discussed, such as the recent superintendent search town hall meetings. Another example of gathering feedback occurred in the fall when the LCAP PAC looked at our 3-year data trends. Using a graphic organizer, they provided feedback that identified gaps and needs for the district. At our meeting, the PAC highlighted themes consistent with improving student outcomes and engagement, cultural awareness, and accountability. These themes are reflected in actions described in the LCAP. We also leverage an array of data sources to help affirm LCAP actions. The new California School Dashboard aligns to the new LCAP template and identifies progress, needs, and performance gaps for all students. We also use internal data systems such as the SUSD data dashboard for additional insight, detail, and timely information.
Good evening, Board President Hanson, board members, and Superintendent Bonda. I'm Kathy Morrison, the district's LCAP and SIPSA coordinator. After synthesizing inputs from our stakeholders, data resources, the annual update on the previous LCAP, and previous year's expenditures, we began to outline the draft. Our team has also taken advantage of professional learning opportunities where we have engaged with representatives from other districts on best practices in developing the LCAP in the new template. Based on the needs and priorities defined in the engagement process, the new LCAP continues our focus on goals established by our strategic plan and previous LCAP. Our annual review indicated that we are going in the right direction, but we need to increase the pace and make bigger gains to achieve our goals. New initiatives are included in the LCAP this year, such as the College Readiness Block Grant activities, the Safe Haven campaign, and the implementation of ethnic studies. The new 3-year LCAP has been aligned to the district's strategic plan by adding a 4th goal, operational excellence. This goal focuses the district's efforts on maximizing leadership structure and processes to become a more effective and efficient organization. This goal includes our efforts to increase data literacy, integrity, and use, and to improve customer service district-wide. Family and community empowerment continues to be focused on training parents about participating in their children's education and building relationships between home and school. Our second goal for safe, emotionally healthy, and engaged students focuses on providing a positive school climate and vital support services. Goal number 1 includes efforts at the core of our district's mission: hiring teachers, implementing California state standards, supporting English learners, and college and career readiness. The goals of our LCAP target areas of great need for the district, and we will now be asking our community to weigh in on the draft plan. We would like to invite Parent Advisory Committee member Tony Tinker to describe our proposed engagement.
Trooper, thank you for
Good
staying.
morning. Actually, it's morning, so good morning.
You get buy you
Hanson-
breakfast or something.
I know, huh? So I am back again. So I'm going to talk about the stakeholder engagements. The district will connect with stakeholder groups in many ways. So as you can see, the district staff will engage internally by existing structures, and the staff will connect with the PAC in meaningful ways to engage the parents and other community members. So basically the idea is so that we can meet parents where they are at and meet parents in ideas. So things like, how do I change this? Oh, good. Community engagement. At most of our PAC meetings, we've brainstormed these ideas, increasing the participation of public stakeholders in the feedback process. We realize that meeting parents at their convenience reduces their barriers to their participation. Using existing parent meetings in school sites, such as the principal's coffee chats or school site council meetings, makes it easier for parents to participate in this process. To make these meetings welcoming to parents, we believe that the district needs to provide childcare, transportation, and food. You can always, food always brings them in to come to talk. We believe that the district should be also leverage social media and other communication channels to reach our community members where they are already engaged. We are looking forward to working with partnerships with the district to make this happen over the next 6 weeks.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thanks for sticking it out tonight. We're grateful for the partnership and assistance of the PAC during this process. After the completion of this first feedback cycle, we will return to the board on June 1 with a revised draft LCAP that reflects the feedback received and includes fiscal revisions based on the May revise. Then on June 15th, we will hold a public hearing after the release of the second draft LCAP. Finally, on June 28th, the LCAP and budget will be presented to the board for adoption.
So in the immediate future, we also wanted to mention that we share our LCAP draft with the County Office of Education, who provide us with a technical review. The county is not reviewing the draft for approval at this time. We will also be distributing surveys in support of the engagement and feedback process and to meet requirements for submission of data with the LCAP and also to the California School Dashboard. So this concludes our presentation, and we will take questions at this time.
22 public comments, I think I heard.
22 minus 22.
Okay. Hey. Do we have any board questions or comments? Member Minnick?
Because I just want to hang out longer. Thank you for being here so late. I really appreciate this. This was very concise and easy to understand at 1 a.m, so I appreciate that. I just had one request, and I think I've already let some of you know. As we look, this is not for this particular LCAP year, but as we look forward, I want us to be cognizant of whether we're our structure and the logistics that we're using to move forward with the Parent Advisory Committee. Sorry, I'm having trouble speaking at 1 in the morning. Are aligned in the best way possible to get the best stakeholder involvement. That means parents, that's students, that's teachers, and I've had some concerns about how we've done it, and I know we've talked about meeting on it, and we just haven't had that yet. But also things like timeline. We have this timeline that kind of coincides with the budget timeline, which means that we don't really get a lot of time to utilize what happens in the LCAP to look at our priorities, to inform the budget in a way that I think would be really more efficient's not the word. I don't know what word it is at 1 in the morning. So where I'm at now is I'd like to propose that we create an ad hoc committee to kind of look at the kind of structure of how we do that. And I've asked Member Vang if she would join me with that, and also Member Rosas, although she's on her way out, so maybe Member Rosas' successor, to make sure we have that student piece. And then, member or two from the current LCAP committee, maybe Ms. Tinker, to really delve into what are we doing now, what's working, and what are ways that we could structure this in a way that we know we're getting the best input from our community, that our timelines are such that we get this information through this PAC process, and it gives us plenty of time to inform the budget. And because I'm just not always convinced that it does, and that's not any mistake on anyone's part, but I think this is probably a good time for us to kind of look at that. And I know there's some awesome heavy hitters on the committee right now that I would love to have be part of that conversation. So what I'm going to suggest, and we use this as an opportunity to look at best practices from other districts, but maybe mid-July, once this process is over, we could maybe first we could get together and brainstorm how to set this up, and then who we want on it, and then moving forward, so we can start having those conversations. And so maybe I'll just circle back with you kind of once we've voted on the final LCAP proposal, once it comes to us in June. Cool? Awesome. Thanks.
Very well.
Thank you.
We go to Superintendent Bunda.
Take a moment to acknowledge the work that this group has done. They've worked tirelessly, but they're also really good at, when they interact with the cabinet, taking suggestions and recommendations on how to continue to refine the process, but also the presentation. So I really want to thank you for being so open to that. I'm really looking forward to the input that we're going to continue to receive over the next month plus. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to end up with a report that reflects the input from our stakeholders and our community.
Member Ryan?
Just very quickly, because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Tony, thank you so much for being here so late. It really takes a tremendous amount of commitment to serve on the Parent Advisory Committee, but then, beyond serving on the committee, staying late at night so that you can represent that voice is significant. I really am appreciative of that. I did want to say, and I know this came up for our other board members, Superintendent, I guess, elect, as we would call him, Jorge Aguilar, was talking about the work that they had done in LCAP and Fresno. And one of the things that was very impressive was apparently they did 70 LCAP community meetings, 70. Mm-hmm. And they took it to the site level so that they had real and meaningful engagement with parents and in multiple languages. And so I think there will be many lessons learned, but beyond just the 70 community meetings, it was aligning it to data that help determine how you take those LCAP priorities and the data we have at hand and make the strategic investments. And so I'm really excited to hear about, based on your conversations with Jorge, how we move that bucket of work.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. So how, I guess I saw how we collect the feedback was the plan that you had written out of where you're going to. So let me do the obvious follow-up questions. How do we put the dollar amounts to our priorities? And how is the LCAP committee, how are you as a member and your fellow members involved in that at this point?
So as we're working together, we wanted to utilize some of the things that were already in place. So some of the sites already had PTA meetings. Some of them already had groups like HIP and the Black Parallel School Board. They're already engaged in those areas. So you can already go into those areas and engage parents on those levels. There's already parents that are interested. The young lady that spoke earlier, she actually sought me out and said, "Did you know we wanted to invite you? We've been looking for you for 3 weeks." I was like, wow, okay. So the parents are starting to engage. We are just not giving them enough information. So things like phone calls. You know, I think kind of the strategy that we used for the superintendent type of town halls, we need to use with the strategy to just engage and let them know that they can be a part of this process. Things that are within our reach of technology and within our scope that are already happening and reaching out that I don't think necessarily hit the budget in a way, but communication technology that we already use. Things like Facebook, things like phone calls to the house, things like text. Those are already being used by different schools. They can be utilized to do this as well.
Can you go back to the slide that had it was the feedback slide? No.
Oh, okay.
Slide 6 with the notes.
No, it was the one that just listed all the.
It was the one mine
Yeah.
that listed them all. Okay, here we go.
Keep going. Go. Next.
Okay, sorry.
That's the one
This
there.
one. This
Stakeholder
one.
engagement. So is there an ability for us to do
So we may not be able to do all of
calls?
these.
I mean, for us to do the connect call that we do for this?
Yeah, we're looking at using the phone, as Tony was saying, using the phone, text, just every communication option available to us now. We do use those tools for other purposes, and the Parent Advisory Committee, asked the logical question: why aren't we using those for this process as well? And so we're going to start looking into that as well.
And then let me ask you, how are we going to line up the priorities of the community and, the couple $1 million we spent tonight? How do we put that into the budget?
So that is, in the process, I mean, obviously we're starting with a draft, and we are going to be collecting input, and all of the changes that are taking place between now and June 28th, when we approve the LCAP, will need to be incorporated into this plan in some capacity. And so we'll be working with our colleagues in the district to help to establish those priorities and to work those into the plan.
So when it comes to us on June 1st, I can ask and say, when we want to point to, we're going to say we decide to put all the money in for the after-school programs. I'd say, Gerardo, show me, line item 121057.432. You're going to say, there it is. If we decide we want to do it, and here's where it's coming out of, and.
Unfortunately, the documents, the required documents are not very user-friendly, but we're going to try to describe so that major objectives, such as items that we have been discussing for here at this board meeting, or the priorities at the LCAP, in the budget committee. So we will try to bring those big items, or or other items as we have done in the past. So we will work on that area, trying to take the engagement that we had done for a while.
I think that the top three that we talked about, like safe haven schools is one, ethnic studies definitely is one. We know what those line items have been since the beginning. And I think to play around with it anymore is taking up a lot of time. I think that, for us to identify them, for us to be able to give you comments as a parent, just as the parent LCAP advisor, for example, ethnic studies I can speak to at some length, where I think you should be able to say, here's $200,000 for this. This is what we're going to do for the next year. This is what 10% of what it should do the next year, 10%, gradient, so that we can give you comments about what's happening, and this is how much we spent last year. And we, as an LCAP, are not seeing that. As the parents working on this to give back feedback, we need to see those things. I'm just using that as one example because I know the most about that particular one. Safe haven schools, how are we doing that? What does that look like? The new drive from the mayor with the $400,000. What does that look like? That's all part of what we're supposed to be looking at and giving you feedback for. And here we have from today, which is May 4th, until the 31st to give you comments and feedback effectively. And we don't have that information. I think that that's one of the things, I think that's the question that you're asking us moving forward. And I'm saying as a parent, I'm saying as an LCAP member, none of those things are there. And how do you then take those comments within June 1st and effectively add those in? And we're saying, okay, yeah, reciprocity. Feed us the information, we'll feed you back.
Yeah. Well, I guess then I'll put that out as a challenge to Elliot and Kathy and Sarah and Gerardo and superintendent, that we want to be able to have it in a digestible format for us to be able to look at the priorities. And we certainly want our appointees on the LCAP committee to see that as well. And that's really taking this project and taking it to the next level of where I think we've always kind of envisioned that. I think that would put us, once again, out on the leading edge of how people are using the LCAPs. And I think it's important for you, and it's important for us to have the feedback. So that's Gerardo too, to work with this team and just make sure that there's pieces. I guess we don't have to have the entire budget and easily understandable stuff. Would be nice someday we get there, but at least the items that can be the top 10, 20, 30 that we want to see, and we want to be able to look at the dollar amounts and kind of have an understanding of how it's impacting other pieces of the budget would be really important for us.
I think the thing that would be important is to know your priorities. And then we could say, I was going to speak earlier, and we've had all this lovely time. But to say, here's our priorities as well, and line them up and say, okay, how can we give comments to those at least top 5 that you have? And then we had a slide with some top 3, at least be able to, let's talk about those top 3 and say, this is the amount of money in LCAP that we are allotting to them, and this is definitely, so that we can show some progress and we can show some movement, and we can show a couple of things from last year that we're moving forward and we've completed and we've done. Ethnic studies is moving. That was a priority. It's going. So we can say that is a checkbox we can do. So I think as we work together, as we work towards June 1st, I think some feedback back would be incredible.
Thank you very much, and I expect that when the exec committee gets together and we do our next meeting with the superintendent to plan out our agenda, that we're planning on putting a sizable amount of time aside for budget. I assume if we can go till 1:30 in the morning talking about the things we talked about tonight, we certainly should be able to spend a significant number of hours talking about one of the most important things that we do. So, thank you very much. Item 11.5, Iris and Joe, Dr. IT and Joe, come on down. Thanks, Joe, for sticking around.
All right, so good evening, Board President Hansen, Superintendent Bonda, and members of the board. My name is Iris Taylor, and I'm joined tonight by Joe Steinmetz, our Director of College and Career Readiness. We're here tonight to present the Career Technical Education Incentive Grant Plan for capital improvement projects for our district. In tonight's presentation, we will give a brief overview of the district's CTE programs and then explain the purpose of the CTE incentive grant. We will then provide information on the funding and major initiatives it will support and conclude with next steps. The career technical education courses are designed to provide students with a strong knowledge base and skill development in a career pathway that they have chosen to study, and in many cases, they may choose to pursue. These courses play a vital role in preparing our students to be college and career ready, college, career, and life ready, as outlined in our strategic plan. Currently, Sac City has 16 CTE programs at 8 high schools representing 10 industry sectors. According to CDE, the purpose of the CTE incentive grant is to enable the development of new career technical education programs and enhance and maintain current CTE programs. These are one-time funds that are restricted, and they must be used by June 2019. The purpose of the funds is to provide direct support to CTE programs, and they cannot be used to supplant. Furthermore, the funds are meant to support projects that are sustainable beyond the grant period.
So it was good evening, and then good night, and then good morning. I'm just going to say greetings.
Greetings.
Board President Hansen, Superintendent Bonda, and members of the board. I am Joe Steinmetz, the Director of College and Career Readiness, and I'd like to tell you about the requirements for the CTE incentive grant. To be eligible for these funds, a CTE program must meet certain requirements that include such things as a high-quality curriculum that is aligned with the California state CTE standards. The program must be taught by a teacher who holds a CTE credential that is appropriate to the industry sector subject matter. It must include a partnership with industry and or labor organizations, and it must provide students with authentic work-based learning opportunities. Funding for this grant is done over 3 terms with a $1-for-$1 match the first term, a $1.50 match the second term, and a $2-to-$1 match the third term. As stated before, these are one-time restricted funds to be used to directly support CTE programs. This grant also requires a plan for sustainability 3 years beyond the grant period. Our district will receive approximately $6 million from this grant. We will use these funds, much of these funds, for capital improvement projects that benefit existing CTE programs. The estimated cost for all the projects, which includes a 10% contingency factor, is $5.4 million, and any remaining funds will be used for other resources that directly support district CTE programs. To determine the most impactful and sustainable use of these funds, the College and Career Readiness Department engaged CTE teachers and school site administrators, the California Department of Education, SCOE's CTIG, or CTE Incentive Grant Technical Assistance Program, and the district's Perkins Advisory Board. As a result of this engagement, there came a recommendation to spend funds on capital improvement projects to create new CTE facilities and also make long-lasting, impactful changes to existing CTE facilities. 5 CTE programs were identified that had a need for capital improvement projects and met the criteria for funding. The project benefiting health professions high schools health career pathway will convert existing space into a patient care simulation facility. Kennedy High School's manufacturing and design pathway will expand their workshop space to allow for additional industrial equipment and a dedicated welding area. Burbank High School's Building Industry Technology Academy's project will reclaim and modernize old shop classes to allow instruction in additional trade skills. Rosemont High School's Culinary Academy will get a modern facility that includes a commercial kitchen and provides adequate space for instruction as well as a small cafe. And the School of Engineering and Sciences Mechanical Engineering pathway will get a facility that will house an engineering laboratory and workshop space large enough to accommodate projects and equipment found in both industry and post-secondary settings. So our next steps will be to pursue final approval of the projects through CDE, work with our facilities department and sites in the planning and implementation of projects. In addition, the California Department of Education requires the district to report how CTEG funding is impacting the expansion, enhancement, and improvement of CTE programs. And the College and Career Readiness Department will also provide annual progress reports to the board. So we'll take questions after public comment.
And I think our thing, yes, Ms. Pritchett.
If I can push my button right. Nice. I just have 2 questions. First off, are all of these projects that are taking place and the programs that will be placed in these buildings, in a sense, do they meet all the A through G requirements?
They will if they do not now. We are reworking all of the CTE curriculum to make sure that they do meet the A to G requirements.
So what is our timeline for that?
We should have it done, I believe we're bringing something like 12 different curriculum packages up for approval within the next 2 months, and we'll continue to work through them until we finish them, but we should have it done by the end of next year.
Okay, and then that's great, thank you. I guess my other question is the timeline for each of these projects. So I understand that maybe one of them has already been started, right? Because it was like a wall, or am I wrong?
No, none of them have been started yet.
Okay.
You know, we've actually been sitting on quite a lot of money just waiting to get through all of the stakeholders' concerns, and we hopefully this is the last hurdle before we can really start engaging with designers and architects and getting these projects underway. We have full assurance from our facilities department that these are all these projects are doable, and they would probably work on all 5 of them at the same time.
And will these projects take place over the summer?
If they can squeeze them in, yes. Some of the things that may slow down these projects would be DSA approval, if you're familiar with.
Yeah, we are. Okay, thank you.
Is there a dollar amount on the projects? Is it kind of an overall dollar amount, or are they specifically for each of those listed projects?
So in the board packet, there was a document that specifically outlined how much each of the projects were estimated to be, and several of the projects include equipment. One of the only projects that doesn't include equipment would be I think they all do. Oh, the room modifications and equipment for the Construction Design Academy does have some equipment in it, but it's broken down in your packet.
How was the decision made about which, were each of the schools just asked to submit?
We engaged principals at each of the schools to find out if they had a need for any capital improvement projects.
Mm-hmm.
And we also based it upon the pathways. We have many different pathways at our high schools, and they have to meet that CTE requirement. Most of the ones that didn't meet the requirements were simply because they weren't taught by CTE teachers, and they didn't have curriculum coded for CTE.
Okay. That was my last question. And when do we find out if we get the money or not?
We've already received $2.7 million. We have assurances from CDE that this coming July, we're slated for another $2.1 million, and we expect in the third term another $1.1 million and maybe more.
Wow.
In the third term. So here we have money coming in, but we have to spend it on certain things.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great work. Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments or questions? All right, so we get to end on a big happy note like that. That's good. I know we still have, we'll go back to communications. No, we'll go back to item.
No.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your good work.
I think they're waiting. Thank you, Joe.
By the way, I don't know if I'll sleep tonight, but I'm going to head out to Rancho Seco. The Solar Regatta is tomorrow. And we have two schools competing this year. SES has been there since the inception, but also Rosemont has a boat this year. So
all right.
I'll take pictures.
Please do. All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Iverson.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back to item 10.0. Are there any employee organizations in the house? Come on down, Nikki. Mm-hmm.
For the recognition. Or SEIU wasn't even here for the recognition.
Well, good morning, everyone. Like many of us, we were also waiting to see the report from the Council of Great City Schools related to special education. And by way of background, the district has been less than transparent about that report. It's refused to provide the initial draft, which they've had for months. Also, they have not provided the back and forth between the district and the Council of Great City Schools, which would indicate how the report had been changed based on the interventions by the district staff. The report was based on a contract for service between the district and the Council of Great City Schools, a council on which Jose Banda sits on the executive committee. The district paid the council at least $46,000 for that, to write that report. And despite these inherent biases, the report confirms special education teachers in Sac City are very understaffed. And I quote, SCUSD has larger student per staff ratios compared to 70 other urban school districts. The number of students in special education in Sac City exceeds the national average. The district central office, that is the superintendent and administrative staff at the Cerna Center, and I quote, do not appear to have a clear vision and theory of action that is consistently communicated with school personnel. The district is functioning as a system of schools that provides inconsistent teaching and learning opportunities across schools rather than a school system built on a foundation of equity and excellence. Associate superintendents primarily spend their time putting out fires, The report states that multi-tiered system of supports is, quote, in its infancy, which is really a euphemism for doesn't exist. The report provides solid justification for a number of SCT's proposals that the district has rejected out of hand at the bargaining table, created an inclusive and comprehensive systematic early intervention program, fully supporting inclusionary practices in education, a ground-up restorative practices culture, lower caseloads for psychologists, speech and language pathologists, and nurses, teacher-driven professional learning, and a process to recruit and retain educators who reflect the diversity of our students. The district has rejected every one of these proposals, which the report from the district's own outside contractor appears to support. I also want to point out, and several months ago we wrote the district and included all of you regarding our concerns about HippoMD. Tonight, comments from nurses should really be a wake-up call. As board members, you no longer have plausible deniability. And just, it was a long time ago that you heard from the nurses. I'm just going to refresh your memories. You must ask many questions that are not limited to about student safety, about protocols, liability, planning, rollouts. Why were the schools and parents told there would be school nurses and none of the new schools have nurses? Why are non-medical staff providing medical assessments with children? Why was this for-profit company chosen? Are the district's public funds being used to the benefit of this for-profit company? Why does the district staff continue to refuse to alter its contract with HippoMD to not take a job with that for-profit company within 5 years of resigning from this school district? You have many questions that you need to look into. Finally, on a positive note, we want to commend Lisa Allen, Mai Vang, and Jesse Ryan for their leadership in making Safe Haven a reality in the district, and we look forward to our important work ongoing on this issue. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. Any district parent advisory committees? Community advisory committee? Renee.
Oh, I ran the Big Sur Marathon on Sunday. That was nothing compared to this. So just by way of reporting out what the Community Advisory Committee has been doing in this last month, we first want to extend gratefulness to the board, particular to Member Pritchett and Vang for engaging with us in connection with the recruitment for the new superintendent. You came to a meeting, you engaged deeply with us in great discussion. We hope it was beneficial for you both, and also in turn inviting our chair to participate in the recruitment. So that was very meaningful, and we're grateful for that. Along the same lines, we want to acknowledge the participation of the board in our programs and our meetings, and it's something we would like to encourage and continue to the extent that you all find value in it. With the special ed audit and the work ahead of us mutually, we would like to think that we continue to have information that can be valuable to you. You might find as you're rolling up your sleeves in the recommendations, you might want parent perspective on one or more of the recommendations. We can put together a panel or a discussion for you. Similarly, we all collectively have connections with educators and researchers and other districts that are tackling the similar issues and maybe a little bit further down the road, and we're happy to convene those workshops for you. So please let us know, me directly or through Angie, the chair, if there are specific topics you'd like us to facilitate. We'd be happy to support that and provide that support to you as needed. And then lastly, I want to report a little bit more. It was mentioned earlier this evening, the CAC hosted a dyslexia workshop last week. And on the panel, we had Mr. Ben Gerwitz as a student empowerment voice. We also invited Dr. Catherine Cristo, who is out of Sac State. She's nationally renowned in the areas of assessment and intervention. We also had an educator who's a special ed educator and also dyslexic herself, so she brought that wonderful blend of teaching kids in the classroom as well as dealing with it herself, and I think it was really well received. I want to thank President Hansen and Member Wu for coming. Also, Nathaniel Browning facilitated the panel, and we're grateful to that. Dr. Taylor attended. We hope there was something informative there for you as well. And so it was just, again, we thought it was a good discussion, timely in light of the audit being released. And that's what we've been up to. Our next meeting is on May 23rd, and we invite anyone and everyone who wants to come. Thank you
very much. Appreciate it. Any other district advisory committees? Superintendent's report? President's report, I will waive. Student member report, Roses sends her best wishes. Information sharing by board members.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
Miss Pritchett, take it away.
Sorry, I'll be very quick. 2 weeks ago, I attended the parent-teacher home visit the home teacher visit. It's no longer a project. You have to drop that from it. National board meeting in Washington, D.C. And it is with heavy heart that I announced that Ms. Carrie Rose, the executive director, will be leaving the project. Not the project, the home visit. And, but with a glimmer of light, it was announced with the hiring of Ms. Gina Martinez Ketty that will be taking over her place. So there's some good things happening there. And I also did give each of the board members a flyer. I'm happy to announce that their next national gathering and annual training will be held right here in our own backyard, October 26th to the 28th. And I just want to challenge each of my board colleagues to send out, to give sponsorships for teachers, to get them trained. And that way we can flood this conference with our own people.
All right.
Okay.
And we got board committee reports. Facilities, budget, academic.
Facilities.
Go.
Can I go?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
We had a jam-packed meeting last week, and our next meeting will consist of going over sports facilities needs and assessments for our 5 comprehensive high schools. Since there was a very high interest and the room was completely packed, we decided to host our next meeting at 5:30 p.m. instead of noon, and it will be held at a larger location. More than likely, we're looking at McClatchy or Hiram Johnson as a location to do it. And this will allow the public to witness the meeting in a more transparent manner. So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me.
Wonderful.
Academic committee is going to meet on June 5th at 1:30 here at Cerna Center. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other stuff? All right, I have one thing I need to read. Amendment, item 12.0, business and financial information reports, announcement by the board president pursuant to the previously adopted resolution 2931 regarding the issuance and sale of bonds at the board meeting on April 6th. The underwriter for the bonds that's been selected is Citigroup Global Markets, Inc. I need to, there. Yes, so somebody new who wasn't there before, so our process actually found an even better one, so. And future board meetings, there we go. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Wait, we're adjourning to go back into closed session.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? All right, going back to closed session.